So, you had arrived in Bryn Shander, you'd attended the meeting of the speakers, apart from the ones that was missing, the Goodmead speaker and the Cairdineval speaker, and you had spent overnight. Now, you were going to donate the cauldron on a loner to the Temple of the Morning Lord. The cauldron's activating word is Eilonwy, very Celtic. So, that is where we left it. The sheriff had called you in his office and offered you 100 pieces of gold to chop the head off that filthy goblin leader and bring him back.
Well, we'll definitely bear it in mind.
So, is there anybody you wish to visit in Bryn Shander before you continue your epic journeys?
Yeah, I want to see that Mages and see how my how Yin's doing.
Oh, Danica, yeah?
Aisha will go with you.
So Ben and Aisha head over to see Danica at the inn, and
I need to slow up off and have a word with Howl.
You do, yes. And as you get shown up to our room, Dave, you knock on the door, and there's a small giggle, and it seems to be coming from Danica, and a light crashing noise. And she opens the door with a big smile on her face. Wiggin is in her hair, and it's got a hair tied round her a bit like a hula skirt. And she says, Ben, Aisha, it's nice to see you again. How are you? As you can see, this little fella is being kept busy.
He's got him as a hairdresser.
Huh.
Yeah, well, not through my own choice, to be fair, but he does seem to like to play with it.
Any progress on finding out if he can help?
Sadly, I've got no progress. I was supposed to make 4 members of my order. That we different members had said they were going to meet us up here, and I thought we could compare notebooks, but several of them are missing. There is Avarice hasn't showed up, and Dizan's completely gone off the grid. I don't know where he was. He was heading east, and the 4th one just hasn't arrived. He was getting a ship up, and there's been no sign. So I attempted to do limited research on my own, but sadly I'm not getting very far.
Right. You know the one that went to East Haven?
East Haven,
yeah. What was he called?
Yeah, Dizan.
Yeah. He didn't have a scroll with fireball on him, did he? He
will have. He was a pyromaniac. He loved the fire, he did.
Oh, good, because he's been, well, not so much good, but he's been burnt at the stake.
She blanches white, and because he's what?
I don't know the details. He got burnt. He murdered some adventurers, apparently, and the guards burnt him at the stake.
He murdered some adventurers? Dizan?
Yeah.
What? How?
Well, he stabbed them with a knife, I believe. I mean, I wasn't there.
Not Dizan. He was a powerful evoker. The only thing he used a knife for was to cut his dinner up.
Well, he didn't cast any spells, which I found a bit surprising. But yeah, he's very dead. And Avarice, that name rings a bell.
Oh, she looks quite shocked and sits down. Wiggin sort of cocks his head over to one side quizzically, as if realising that she's gone all sad.
Avarice definitely rings a bell.
You'd know Avarice if you've seen her. She's an albino tiefling, you know, the white skin, the red eyes. Normally she suffers quite bad from sunburn, but up here, you know.
Ah, right.
That's not a tiefling up at the thing, is it?
Yeah, we've seen a couple of tieflings, one in better condition than the other.
No, the tiefling you saw was a normal red-coloured tiefling.
What about the frozen tiefling?
Yeah, that was a normal coloured tiefling as well.
All right, no, we haven't seen that one. We haven't seen that person.
But each of us has our own projects. The Arcane Brotherhood is for studies of all forms of magic, and each of us had our own projects to perform up here, but we're obviously hear each other, being a member of the same brotherhood. So I'm not entirely sure what their projects were. I just know Dizan said he had to go to East Haven of some urgency, and he needed a boat or something.
Yeah, he found a tower.
A tower?
A tower frozen at the ice.
Well, that must be something special if Dizan was looking at it.
And the rest of them, like I say, I'm sure I've heard the name of Avarice, but I can't place it.
Well, thank you for bringing me this sad news. It's always a sad time when the member of the Brotherhood passed. And obviously we're all cut off. Barring some powerful magic such as teleport, we won't be getting anybody else in. Other than that, Dave, Wiggin seems very happy to see you. He hops over, runs up and down, jumps in your beard, plays, that kind of thing. She says, I'll continue my studies, but I'm kind of handicapped. Hopefully I can bump into Avarice. And the 4th member, I haven't had a letter of introduction to say who was coming down, but I know there was somebody catching a ship up from Luskan.
Do you know much about Luskan?
Yeah, the host tower of the Arcanes there. It's a major hub from our order.
You wouldn't know someone called, some people call the Knight of the Black Sword, would you?
She says, the name seems familiar. I wonder if I've read it in one of the books in the library there somewhere. But yeah, the name definitely seems familiar. I've heard of them.
When you hear the name, does the shiver go up your spine, or do you feel all kind of nice and tingly?
I don't know. If I had access to my books, then maybe I could be of further use to you, but my hands are kind of tied here at the moment.
Oh, all right, thanks.
So we cut to Andy, who's wandered off to Howell's Alchemy, Shoppy, and Magic Emporium. And you enter the small shop, and there's the small bell on the counter.
I'll give it a small ring.
Ding, ding, ding. Howell emerges from the back room. As usual, he looks rather rough, as if he's had quite a bag. And he's like,
Howell.
Corin, it's
That's my
lovely to see you. I've got that potion ready for you.
chop in. We're on our way to deal with that thing you were asking about.
Yes.
So hopefully, I should be plonking several pounds of it on the counter in the near future.
Excellent. He says, well, actually, I'll tell you what also works. Word on the street has it that the Yeti people, I assume, and he looks conspiratorially left and right, I'm assuming you know them, have managed to retrieve a large chest of gold.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've heard of these Yeti people. What have you heard?
Oh, just the adventurous types heading round solving problems have come upon a large chest of gold, and we're flashing it off. I'm happy to take a deposit, you understand, if you were feeling thirsty right now.
Really? What sort of deposit are we talking about?
Oh, a 20 gold deposit, he says? 25? 15, 20?
20 gold deposit, you reckon? Ooh, I think we can probably manage that. How many silvers in a gold?
There are 10 silvers in a gold.
10 silvers in a gold. Right. Do I get the sense that Howell knows the identity of the Yeti people, or is he just fishing?
No, he seems to be giving you a conspiratorial sort of nod without, blabbing that he perhaps is aware that you may have a large sum of money being flashed about.
Right. Well, I shall leave the deposit.
Okay. Because, money always works.
I'm a bit short, so I'm sorry. It'll have to be in silver.
Oh, it all spends. I mean, of course. Yes, of course. And he hands over this vial, and it's kind of swirling different colours. There's definitely some black in there, and maybe some streaks orange, maybe a bit of glitter. You swear there's a bit of a lump. He goes, if I were you, I'd hold your nose. It's got poppy in it, but the rest of the ingredients, you need to render down the base. They may be a little unpalatable for some people.
I shouldn't ask what's in it, should I?
Probably not. Probably for the best.
Right.
But yes, a guaranteed sleeping draft.
Right. And how long before the sleeping is required does one take it?
The sooner the better, I would think. From what we've discussed, it will probably get you another couple of months.
Right. Well, I may as well take it now, mightn't I?
Yeah, no time like the present. Just let me hide this deposit first, he says, and then shuffles it into a small box that he puts under the counter.
Right. Well, time to hold the nose and down the hatch.
Yeah, bottoms up.
Yeah.
So, swigging it down, it tastes vaguely of aniseed, and it's not the best. It's at once both slimy and runny, but you managed to drink it down.
Yeah.
And he says, well done, you managed to get that down in one go.
You should say some of the other things I've drunk.
One can only imagine.
Well, if one wants, one will tell one.
Best not. I have an important business arrangement at the pub rather soon. I don't want to put me off me beer, to be fair.
If anybody mentions anything, just remember, I was only drinking the broth and eating the vegetables.
He says, that sounds fascinating, and taps the side of his nose. I will bear that in mind.
Well, thank you very much, Howell. Much appreciated, my friend. I shall be back with bits of ice to you as soon as possible.
Excellent news. Or an ice troll heart, if you should come across one.
Oh, now then. Right, yes. I'll say what I can do.
Ice troll hearts, I can make interesting potions out of them. The leftover bits as well, you can turn them into potions of frost resistance.
That's useful to know.
Bloody hard to get hold of. I haven't been able to get hold of any for ages. That's the problem. As the trolls that people tend to cut them out of seem to object to people bringing their hearts.
These trolls, you can't understand them, can you? You'd think they'd be grateful.
I know, bits of them get to see the world, meet interesting people like me.
Do ice trolls regenerate like normal trolls?
Well, we'll have to find out, won't we?
Because if they do, you can just cut its heart out, lock it in a cage, and when it grows a new heart, lock that heart out, and on so.
That sounds like something you should definitely try, Dave.
So all we got to do is catch an ice troll, stick it in a cage, pop it round the howl. We've left some at fire on the back step.
Yeah, it's just sort of chained up, like with a dog collar on.
Right, well, thank you, Howl, my man. I had better be off.
Pleasure as always, Corin. Don't forget, tell all of your friends the alchemy shop always has potions of healing for sale and possibly some specialty potions. Should I be able to get the ingredient?
I shall certainly put the word around, and I suppose I shall make my way back to the pub and order a strong drink to get the taste of this horrible stuff out my mouth.
As you go out the door, Hal calls, and the colour should probably fade in a couple of days.
I shall spin round on the spot, stick my head back round the door and go, beg pardon?
You might. There are some unfortunate cases where similar drafts have resulted in people changing colour just a little bit, but it normally only lasts a couple of days.
Well, all I can say, Howl, is it had better.
Right, so Andy, you head back to the pub. What sort of pigmentation do you think your skin changes a little bit to?
I'm not sure, but I'm sort of walking down the middle of the street, looking at the back of my hand and waiting to say what colour it was.
And rubbing it vigorously.
Yes.
And
me hand.
And you head back to the pub. Right, Lantesh, is there anything you wish to do? You're in the pub with Sandman waiting while the other two have gone off.
I'll wait till they're finished talking to Danica, and I want to go and have a word with Danica on my own.
Okay.
I trust them not to put it into character anyways, because I'm going to tell them stuff later. But basically, I want to ask her what does she know about the town of Carculloch.
Nothing. I haven't heard anything of it. Is it round here?
Well, it's the town that the speaker mentioned.
Danica wasn't there, you see.
Oh, was she not? All right. Okay, right.
It was just it was 8 of the speakers for the towns.
Right,
you lot and Sheriff Markham. But I've never heard of it before.
Just it's really the word I'm looking for. It's really rattled me because at the meeting, the speaker mentioned that the goblins were in a town called Carculloch, and that means home in Gnomish, which is very disturbing, and I'm a little bit worried.
That's fascinating, though. I mean, you know what they say. If you go down to Chult and you get 100 monkeys and you give them all quills, eventually one of them's going to write the fireball spell. But I mean, the chances of a goblin coming up with a gnome word, I mean, that's practically zero. It's fascinating. I do hope you can make some notes. And,
do you think the speaker might know a little bit more about it? Or obviously you were the first person I thought of, because you're knowledgeable about these things. And
my impression of the speakers is they generally like to take care of themselves before they take care of others. Now, the Markham is a harsh man, but I get the feeling that he's got a good heart. And that lady from East Haven, I met her once, the leader of the militia, and she seems to be of good heart as well, although she's much more law-abiding than Markham is. But the speakers tend to make sure they've got a nice warm house and full bellies, if you get my meaning.
Yeah, I get what you mean. You couldn't do us one small favour if you have the means to, because, I'm just starting out here from from the knowledgeable perspective. You couldn't get a message to my Lord Trainer back in Waterdeep and ask him about this for us? He might know a little bit more about it.
I would love to, but I'm cut off as well. The problem is the more powerful mages of my order were supposed to meet up here.
All right.
and they're spread out all over, and one of them hasn't arrived at all. So he might be able to get a message if he turns up. This is why I'm basically sat in Bryn Shander, because we made arrangements that if anybody needed contacting, that they could contact us at the North Look. So I don't know where else to go. I'm hoping that one of them makes contact with us.
Well, if they do turn up in the meantime, whilst we're away, you couldn't look into this matter for us. They mightn't turn up, by the time we get back. I don't know how long we're going to be away. But any help on this matter, because it's really rattled us.
And she says,
really
I've just heard
concerned.
the terrible news at Tazan, and Tazan was quite powerful.
Yeah. I just don't know what. I got a really bad feeling. The leader of Cadenville, is it? No, yeah, Cadenville that we went to.
Cadenville, yes.
Yes. She was quite ruthless. She says she had to take some action to stop, the townsfolk going up in arms. But I get the feeling that there wasn't enough investigation done before they took the action. The action to burn the man at the stake. It just seemed off.
Well,
they didn't find any spell book on him or anything like that. So how can they say this? They just drew to the conclusions that this man was responsible for the murder of these people. That's something I would like to look into when we get back round to it. But like I say, with several urgent matters to attend to. But that's something like a stone that I'm not going to leave unturned. I really like to get to the bottom of that.
Yes, I just heard the sad news of Dizan myself. I'm a bit thrown. He was a powerful caster, and the only thing he used his knife for was to eat a pork pie now and again. And
well, they reckon he was caught with the knife in his hand, the murder weapon. But again, I just can't believe it. And if he is a powerful caster, like you say, then somebody's taken his spell book and, to my mind, is framed the poor man.
It makes no sense to me. There's one, that the militia would be able to take this on by themselves, and two, why you would murder a bunch of people with a knife.
Yeah.
I'm completely at a loss.
But I will avenge his death. I will get vengeance and bring the person who is responsible to justice. I just don't like injustices like that. But if I find anything else out on this matter, I will relate back to yourself.
Thank you. I would appreciate that. The best plan I've got is to hold here and hopefully make contact with Avarice or Nas. And
Nas, did you say the third one was called?
Nas, the fourth member of our party. Nas.
Just from my notes. Yes, that. But yeah, I think we're due to head off to sort this goblin out, and I'm just a bit alarmed at what I'm going to find when I go there. But I'm just trying to sort of prepare myself mentally. But yes, so I'll not bother you anymore. I can see you're quite busy, and I'm looking a little wee Shan.
He's a bit of a handful, I'm not going to lie. Even though I'm not getting very far on my own, he is very funny to have around. He
is, and in these dark times, I dare say, it's quite nice to have him around to bring a smile to your face. If to bring some comfort. But I'll not bother you any further. And I'll leave you to your studies, and I'm going to get sorted and be on my way with my friends.
Very good. I look forward to hearing your tales. Please, next time you come through Bryn Shander, come and let us know what's happening about this strange town. And
I certainly will.
Excellent.
Okay, that's it. I know I've got Lady Lathander at my back, so she's been there protecting our party all the whilst long. I know she's been there to fight off death coming for Sanwin on many occasions. That's another set of tales I'll tell you sometime when we get back to it. But I shall leave you now, and I'll nod to her, and I'll leave her.
She smiles and says, "Thank you, Lantesh. It's a pleasure to speak to you as always."
Right, and I'll go and meet these lot back in the bar.
Okay. You all assemble like the Avengers in the pub.
Have I got a funny colour?
Has he got a funny colour?
Yeah. What colour should it be though?
You look a bit green round the gills.
Got a bit of a
Gills.
green
Gills?
tinge.
What? I've got bloody gills now. Well,
Do you think it would look nice if he had purple hair, Rich? I'll use me gnome cunning to cast the illusion of purple hair to go with the green skin. Not tell him, but just
Just do it.
he looked like one of those trolls with funny coloured hair.
The one player.
Your hair's turned purple as well.
oh, hey, I tell you, when I say howl the next time, I'm going to kick him so hard.
Wait a minute. Do the curtains match the cuffs?
Oh, I'm not going to check.
No, me either. And I'm DM.
Me britches.
No, the curtains do not match the cuff.
No, Sandman, the curtains do not match the cuffs.
Oh dear.
Oh, this party's cracks me up.
Oh, there is a new function from one of the add-ons that automatically updated now. If you open the calendar, there should be a button that says timeline view, and if you click that, it just and scroll down, it shows you just timelines of interesting things that's about to happen.
Can we get purple hair dye?
And then you can click calendar view to go back to calendar. Purple, you will be able to. It's purple's normally quite expensive because it's the royal colour, isn't it?
Well, we want them to match because he'll just look odd naked.
Why are you thinking about Corin naked?
Well, we're comrades in arms, you know. You got to think about everything to do with your friends.
Well, since they're talking about this, right, I'll kind of rub my nose, and when Corin looks back down into his britches, his collar doesn't match his cuffs. I'll just like...
Right. Okay. So, is there anything else you wish to share or talk about or visit?
Yeah, well, I'll buy in some more incense to get me familiar. So I've already paid for it, so I've bought 2 lots of incense.
I'll pay
20 GP, yeah.
I'll pay down the front of me britches again and go, bloody hell, look at that. Blue leather dwarven boots.
There's only the hairs on his feet to do now. Hairy toes, hairy toes. I just love those hairy toes.
They're not allowed to be hairy due to a copyright strike back in the day. Right, so you go to the shops. In Targos, you remember you have to visit the young gentleman that has promised you some scrimshaw for rescuing Garrett.
What is scrimshaw, Richie?
In the real world, it's whalebone carved into intricate statues and dioramas. In Icewind Dale, it's the knuckle-headed trout is carved into. If you Google scrimshaw, it's actually quite beautiful.
All right, okay.
Right. I think we should head up there, see Garrett's man.
Keegan.
Yeah, and then pop up and kill a fish, and then go and sort this goblin problem out. What can't be too hard, can it? You chuck the world map up, please, Richard, 10 times.
That seems reasonable. And although Brace is quite tight-lipped, there's obviously, if you just get bored, there's something up with the Goliath tribes. You figured that out.
He doesn't want to talk about it.
but he doesn't want to talk about it. So, is that the plan? You jump into your tent with your mummy and head to Targos, yeah?
Yeah, head to Targos and then up to Bremen.
It's 45-minute journey to Targos. You can do that along the road in your dog sled. So, flying along, Bob sits on the tensor floors and gets the back going, I say, this is not quite dignified, what?
Huh.
Nah. As you career down the road and arrive once more in Targos.
We'll have to get him a chair to make it look like a floating throne. I'm sure I'd feel at home with that.
Get him a seatbelt like Ryan.
Apparently you're going to drop him off at Lonelywood at some point, aren't you? When you get around to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a bar to run.
Right. Arriving in Targos, are you heading up to Garrett and Keegan's house?
We certainly is.
So you head up to Garrett and Keegan's house, you're knocking on the door. At first, Keegan answers the door and then throws himself around you and gives you all big hugs and a cuddle on either side of his cheek and says, oh, thank you, Garrett. Rolled in, over a week ago now. It's been quite a few 10 days.
Oh, I'm just glad he got home all right.
I'm so glad. Thank you so much. Here, please. I don't have much, but I'd be honoured if you'd take this.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Drops some scrimshaw figurines into...
I've put a picture in general chat there for anybody. It's quite pretty.
So, just give me a second. What's going on in Bremen? I haven't been far, I'm not going to lie. I'll have a roll and we'll find out. Oh, He said that I've heard that the fishermen are scared to go out on Mer Doom because there's some kind of beast attacking the fishing boats. So
That's what we wanted.
I've heard that. Is that what you're after?
Yeah, I think we're going sea monster fishing.
Well, that sounds terrifying. I am not going to lie, that sounds absolutely terrifying.
Yeti meeting a grappling hook. What could possibly go wrong?
Let me just say that I'm pleased it's you and not me. And then he does use some hot cider from his very special stash and the most delicious dried fish stew you can imagine, which is still not great, but he does put his heart and soul into it.
We've eaten a lot worse these days. Very nice. Thank you very much.
Allegedly, yes. Oh, there's more intricate scrimshaw than that, Tracy. There's like people have carved actual little figurines and stuff into it.
Ooh.
Right, so spending an extra couple of hours in Targos, Garrett is out earning a living. Oh, he does say he's sad that a boy perished. Garrett was heartbroken. It was his favourite dog, but from what I hear, he saved your life. So bless him, that good dog. Bless him.
He was a good
dog. And finally, you take the short journey up the road to Bremen, having never been here before. Across the frozen river, there's a bridge, but you can cross at any point. And let me give you the destruction. Bremen's a sleepy town sitting on the west bank of Mer Doldun at the mouth of the Shagarn River. The harbour is frozen, which means that to get to the fishing ports, there's a few mile trek across the ice, 3 miles to be precise. And that a boat can only reach Bremen by crossing the river, which is frozen over. Right, so you pull Bremen. The link is there for you guys.
There's your module you're attempting. Oh, there you go.
All right, I must have to share it first. The buried treasure is the town inn, as you've asked around. But also there is the 5 Tavern Centre.
5 taverns around the square, perhaps?
Indeed.
Oh, champion.
Pub crawl.
Town hall.
Yeti curry, yeti curry here.
Head up to the town hall.
You head up to the town hall. Bremen has a larger than average dwarf population for this part of the world.
So, is it more dwarves or just taller ones?
No, there's just a greater number of dwarves, not tall dwarves.
Well, you said larger than average.
Right, so you park up at the stables or outside of town?
I'll go to the stables.
Actually, the buried treasure is right outside of town and they've got their stables outside, so you could park it out there if you're planning on...
Yeah, we'll park it out there. We'll pop into the buried treasure and then we'll head to the town hall.
Right, the buried treasure is a very large inn, considering the size of the town, and the sign that hangs and swings in the wind is like a pan, you know, when people pan for gold, with gold nuggets glinting in the bottom of it.
Ah,
and,
right. Is there a stable boy?
There isn't a stable boy. You could go inside and ask if there's a stable boy, but there's none.
Maybe he's chaotic.
An unstable boy. Well, I'll head in.
So heading into the inn, there's a middle-aged and slightly frumpy human lady standing there, and it's got a little tap room to the side, but that's for the guests. And she says, "Oh, come in, come to the buried treasure. I'm Cora Mulfoon. It's nice to have you here."
Hello, Lady Cora. I'm wondering if we could book some rooms for the night and stable our dogs.
Certainly. I'm afraid I can't. I can't provide a stable boy. You'll have to unharness them yourself. My boy, you see, he used to do that, but he's not about now.
Oh, what's happened?
She said, "It's Huawei. He went off looking for the speaker because we got our speaker. He keeps going missing and wandering about in the blizzard. And he come back and he went himself. He were a bit angry, and then a couple of days, 2 tieflings arrived at the treasure here and offered Huawei a sanctuary in their castle, and he left with them willingly."
Where was the castle?
One of the cares, I think. I wasn't party to one of them.
What colour was the tiefling?
Yeah, next question.
One were a red one, and the other, she were unusual. She had white skin and pink eyes. She was strange looking creature. I mean, I'm not to saying that people aren't allowed to look strange around here.
What Wawa? Didn't have wally skin, did he?
No, he's a Dela born through and through. But I did find something strange in his room, and he completely changed when he came back from that search.
What did you find?
It says it was this strange twist of like black metal.
You should probably not touch that. I've got a feeling I know what it is.
Oh, speaking of which, where did you put yours?
Well, I tried to turn my leg black, so I dumped it.
Oh, so you've just chucked it off into the snow.
Well, I dumped it somewhere I could find it again near Bryn Shander,
She says,
like under a rock.
he got me, and I was in his room tidying like, and I found that lump of metal, black metal, and he snatched it away, and then he shouted at me. He raised his fist. He said, "Don't you ever touch that again, Mum."
Didn't call it his precious, did he?
He didn't know.
Yeah, all right. If we see him, we'll tell him his mum's looking for him, eh?
I please. Listen to me, a daft old woman telling you me tales. I'm sorry. Yeah, you can stable for free if you're booking rooms, but like I said, I got nobody to decack your
We can do that.
harnesses
That's
and
all
whatever.
right, lady.
I'll trot outside and deal with the dogs.
When you talk about the castle, is it a nearby castle?
Well, there'll only be two round here. There's Caer Connig and Caer Dineval.
Okay.
Well, if we're passing, we can always pop our heads in the castle, see if there's any knight who might know where he is. Might have a chat with them, because I'm pretty sure we need to give them a nice talking to, since we're so friendly.
Indeed.
What's that building on the island?
That is just the fishing house. When the lake's not frozen, the fishermen take all their catches there.
We heard there's a sea monster in Merdulan.
Oh, aye, terrible it is. Terrible. We got the fishermen are freezing to go out, and everybody's running short of food. There's Targ's not coming around as often with the caravan trading. Everybody seems to be stopping trading unless it's vital, and everybody's starting to go hungry now.
Who would we see? Has someone put a bounty out on the sea monster yet?
The speaker, but like I said, he's a bit doolally in the head, I think, because he keeps going wandering, and we have to go out looking for him.
Do you know if he's in
There's a
town
fisherman down on the Dwarf. One of his boats got attacked. I believe he were paying good money to find out what's going on.
Oh, well, thanks, Mark. If we can reserve 5 rooms, we'll come back later on.
So you can have, with food, 1 gold for standard or 2 gold if you want a nice warm bath as well. Or you go cheaper if you wanted. Obviously, you can go poor is only 2 silver pieces.
2 gold, I think. We'll have a bath
for the common
Been a
rooms.
while. Everyone up for getting a decent room and a bath while we're here?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, we'll pay our 10 gold. Everyone will just knock 2 gold off each. We'll have a wander up to the town hall.
Right, you have a wander up to the town hall, but it's closed, and there's a sign on saying that the speaker is not available at the moment. Please try again tomorrow.
Pop into the 5 tavern centre, 5 taverns in a circle, and is that the 5 taverns next to each other?
5 Tavern Centre is awesome. 5 taverns stand in a semicircle around a central yard in the heart of Bremen, and you see that each tavern is open for business, and there is smoke gently curling out of the chimneys. The taverns are called Stones, Even Kale, The River's Mouth, The Grumpy Goose, and The Black Bearded Brother. The taverns are old and poorly maintained.
Well, we'll have a half in each.
So you do a crawl around the pubs, and
I need to try and find out A, where we can find the speaker, and B, who's looking for someone to kill the sea monster.
You've heard pretty much all of the basic rumours. So you wander around the 5 taverns. What you do find out is the 5 taverns are owned by 5 dwarf brothers, and what happened was each wanted to open their own tavern, but they had a falling out and they couldn't decide who was going to be in charge. So each of the dwarf brothers has opened their own tavern and are in direct competition with each other.
So it's a nightmare.
It's an absolute clusterfuck.
Well, in the second tavern, because I assume I find most of this out in the first tavern, I'll say to the barman, "Excuse me, sir, I've been told that your tavern is the best place to find people."
It is. It's the heart of Bremen. The other 4 taverns are complete rubbish.
I'd heard as much. I heard that there was a shipwright or a sailor whose boat had recently been wrecked, was looking for a group of adventurers to deal with this sea monster.
He says, that's right.
You wouldn't happen to know where we could find this gent?
He says, down at the docks. He'll be down at the docks. He comes in here and has a drink on a night, and then during the day he hires people to catch trout for him, the knuckleheads. But he only pays them five copper a trout. But he were asking.
All right, we'll go on board with him.
You need to speak to old Grinsk.
And the speaker who goes wandering out in the snow. Is someone going to go and find him?
Well, we keep him resting in his house as best we can, because I think he's a bit snow touched now. if you get my meaning.
I do. I'd like to have a word with him at some point, but we'll probably deal with that after we've seen to this sea monster. Thank you very much. Everyone was right about this place. It is the best of the 5. I'll shake his hand, pat him on the shoulder, thank him heartily, drink me half, and then we'll head out towards the
you notice they're all poorly maintained, and each of them does not have a great amount of customers in, as the amount of patrons in the town is limited. Certainly doesn't seem to be enough to support 5 taverns.
Was this have an idea planned by a council by any chance?
It was dwarves, and when dwarves fall out with each other, they're certainly not, sensible about it. Yeah.
Right, we'll head over to the docks.
Right. You head down to the frozen docks.
Do any of the ships look wrecked?
Any of the ships look wrecked. There is a couple of boats on top of the ice. They're obviously the ones that they can drag across the ice, and one of them's got a large bite mark out of it.
We'll head over to that. Toss Cobble, what you make of that bite mark?
What bite mark? What bite mark?
The one in the boat.
Oh, it's big. Would I have any indication, knowledge-wise, as to maybe what made it?
I'm going to let you have animal laurel, but it's unlikely, shall we say. Sorry, nature, not animal law. What am I talking about? Completely different game. Right. 8. What you can determine from the bite mark from that is you examine it, and although it's a large bite mark, a chunk, maybe 1.5 feet wide, it seems to be made by something with lots and lots of little teeth rather than a few big teeth. Up staggers a dwarven figure, and he sounds half caught, and he's like, there you bloody well are. You're late. I hired you to go out fishing last night. You haven't turned up. This is a bloody disgrace. I pay good money for fishermen.
Wrong people. We're here to kill the sea monster if you can pay us enough.
Yeah, sea monster, he says, trying to look innocent. You hear footsteps approaching behind you. That one banged off a ice floor.
With lots of teeth.
And of course it did.
Yeah, you hear a female voice shouting at him, saying, Grinch, you're drunk again. And you turn, and the figure approaching you from behind seems to be a humanoid lady of roughly human height. Obviously, everybody's covered in gold weather clothing, so it's kind of hard to tell. She says, you're drunk again, and these people are here to sort the monster out, and there's no point in lying to them. She turns to you and says, I'm sorry about Grinch. He's got a good heart. He just likes, and then she turns to glower at him. He likes to drink a little bit too much.
Greetings, my lady. I'm Sanwin. This is Aisha, Lantesh, Corin, and Ben. Who are you?
She says, I'm Tally. I'm here studying the local animal life. She says, but this bloody idiot, I can't send any more people to fall victim to the monster of Mare Duldoon.
Well, we weren't planning on falling victim to it.
No, it was planning to fall victim to us if only it but knew it.
She says, well, when I heard rumours of a creature in Mare Duldoon that was attacking the fishing parties, I decided to investigate, and my investigations have revealed that it's only the boats from Bremen that's been attacked. The Targos ones are not being touched, nor are the Tourmaline ones. Descriptions of the monster vary. Some say the size of an ox, while others say it's closer to the size of the house. Some say it's a whale or large fish, and others say it's more like a lizard.
Wonderful. So it's very big, very small, or huge, and it's either a lizard, a horse, or a house.
I was leaning towards somewhat reptilian-ish.
Your investigations basically have shown that it can be just about anything.
Maybe it shape changes that ad.
Could be. Is there any first-hand accounts surviving?
No, that boat there, she indicates the one with the large chunk out of it. That one was found adrift and the crew missing. Presumably its crew's being devoured by this terrible creature.
All the boats that are getting eaten wouldn't happen to have been hired by this drunken sod, would they?
No, it is just the ones in Bremen. The other towns not had any problem.
So what does Bremen do different to Targos?
Well, that's what we have to determine.
Yeah, but while we spend time determining it, more people are going to get eaten.
I wonder if I can. Oh, I can. She says, well, Byron going out there myself, I can't give you any further information. I'd love to. If you are planning on going out there, I would be most grateful if you decided to bring back a description of the beast, perhaps some.
Why don't we invite you to come with us? And you can have a look at it first hand.
Ooh, she says, I'm not brave. I'm not the type that goes out chasing monsters.
I'll turn around and say, is it attacking them on the water?
Yes, apparently it is. Right. These rowboats have a speed of 1.5 miles per hour and can hold 4 medium creatures. So that means Aisha's going to count as 2 medium creatures. So you're going to have to split over the course of 2. One of them has a big chunk out of it.
Well, we're going to have to get 2 boats, and we're also going to have to get a couple of grappling hooks and a few pounds of Yeti meat.
And I need some a spare set of cold weather clothing.
Yeah.
So I've got something to change into when I fall overboard again.
Don't do that.
I am not planning to do it, but it's probably going to happen.
There is a distinct likelihood. But let's get this done. We won't have a load of daylight left, will we?
You've got about, let's see, 3 hours you've used up and 4 hours. About 4 hours of twilight left before it becomes dark.
I think we hit the sack and we first up early in the morning. We'll get in there quick.
I would like the plan.
That's the plan then. Head to the buried treasure, put our heads down, ask her if she wants to come for a drink.
Who? Ask who?
I'll ask Tally if she'd like to come for a drink.
Yes, it'd be fascinating. I love the animals and particularly the flora of Icewind Dale. You know, the plants.
I love the flora and plants.
At this, you notice that Salmon, his face lights up and he says, "Oh, please come for a drink and we'll have a great discussion about them."
We certainly shall. I find moss particularly infatuating.
Oh, moss. It's not one of my areas of expertise, but I am interested in your views of it. And as the two of them begin to launch into a heated and long debate about the different types of moss that can be found around the surface of Mare Duldoon, the rest of your eyes slowly begin to glaze over.
This is fascinating. Oh, my lady, please do come with us to the buried treasure. We should have a drink and maybe something to eat while we discuss the intricacies of the fauna and flora of this region.
So you spend a lovely evening, Earl, talking
fantastic,
talking plants to this young lady. The rest of you have a terrible evening, and
I'll show them my sketchbook that I've been hiding from everyone, where I've made sketches of plants. I'm not very good at art.
So do you wish to stick this out, or do you wish to make your excuses and have an early night and a bath, a heated bath?
Yeah. Excuses, early night, warm bath.
I take it under our cold weather gear, she's human.
Under our cold weather, she's half elven.
Ah.
She's got those cute little pointy half elf ears.
Yes, the pointy ears that, don't let me have.
Oh, yeah.
You bastard.
I let half elves interest in full elves. So what about you, Lantesh and Ben? Are you going to sit and listen to the fascinating lecture on the molds and fungus of Icewind Dale between these two?
Not so much. I will ask though before they get into this heated discussion, is there any chance I could commandeer an empty 5-foot cube crate for the boat?
5-foot cube crate. I'm going to say yes.
Thank you.
I'm going to say that there's one at the back of the inn. It's probably seen better days. Maybe there's a couple of planks broke, but you can mend it back together.
Yep, that would be perfect. Thank you very much.
Aisha will hang out with Bob.
Sitting in the corner playing dominoes.
I'll show him the etchings.
Right, she's fascinated by your etchings, Earl. Fascinated. If they had spectacles, she'd be like one of those that has her hair tied back tightly with spectacles, and then when she takes the spectacles off and loosens her hair and flicks it, she suddenly becomes absolutely gorgeous. She's kind of a little bookish looking.
I'm going to say to Corin again, but guys, pulled again. Every fucking pub will go in.
Well, you know what he's like.
Oh, what a fascinating evening. This is the most riveting evening I've had in years. Someone whose mind is as beautiful as their face.
Not the fucking mind you're interested in, Pet.
Not the face, neither.
Very well. So you spend a fascinating evening with Tally, who has her own house. She excuses herself. You all go to bed, have a nice long rest.
Ooh, and a bath. I want a bath.
And a bath.
Oh, warm and clean for the first time in months.
God for a bath. Now that you've got rid of that shard of black icel, you notice that the veins in your leg are still black, but they are going back and retreating.
That stuff's probably quite dangerous, and I have a bad feeling
that Shardland stuff, yeah, probably.
We should probably not eat it.
I'm becoming less concerned about the loss of me Shardland dagger.
Yeah, I think it's probably for the best. Right, get a good night's kip.
Oh, you could have maybe asked Howell, who's the magical expert in Bryn Chandler, about Shardland, or...
Yeah, we forgot. We'll be passing back through. It'll be fine.
Right, dawn breaks. If there were any birds, they would tweet, but they're all probably frozen to branches. Let's see what the weather's going to be like, because it doesn't want to be too bad.
Cool. Yeah, cool.
Weather table. Now, there was a modifier of -2. No, sorry, there was a +2 clear sky. Dense fog. So yeah, it will be foggy, but
Oh God!
it will be. At least it's not a blizzard.
The
Yep,
fog
that's
on the
fine.
time.
I don't suppose there's a few boat captains, skippers about that are looking for work to hunt a sea monster, or is that a bit much to ask of people?
That is probably a bit much to ask. All of the out of work fishers would be at the 5 taverns.
Yeah, let's just go. Let's go.
Plus, like I said, Asia takes up, each can hold 4 people. Asia takes up 2 slots. So who's going in which boat?
I'll go in a boat with Cobble and Ben.
I'll go with Asia.
Asia, Bob, and we'll leave Bob behind actually. Because if he falls in water, he'll just dissolve.
So you're leaving Bob in the stable or just outside of town? Just stand there and
just leave him in the pub. He can lie in the bed and read a book.
Lie on the bed and read a book.
Yeah, you can.
And then me and Ben and Corin will be in one, and Lantesh and Asia will be in the other, and we'll drag them across the ice and find out, before we go, we'll find out what rough direction from Tally these people have been going missing, and we'll head that way. And I figure we just fish for them, like grappling hook with meat, like big chunks of meat on. So
yeah, so to get to the edge of the water is like 3 miles. You'll have to drag these boats across the ice.
Yeah, it's easy. We've got Asia.
With Andy and his perchance for being able to walk, it counts as wearing snowshoes. So you can do that in 3 hours. You can reach the wet bit.
Right, let us launch our craft and begin the fishing operation. Each boat has a grappling hook, some rope, and loads of meat.
Yeah,
and I've got the crate on ours.
And you've got a 5-foot crate.
Do you want me to stand in the bow and go, ooh?
Yeah, I was going to say someone will have to be the foghorn, obviously.
So who's in the boat with the big chunk out of it? We'll call that boat.
The one that I'm going to mend on the way there.
We'll call that boat
Mendy.
Can you mend a boat if the planks are missing?
You can't mend the missing planks, but you can mend. If it's got a missing plank, it's not a boat anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's got to be, we're not using it unless it's at least.
Yeah, it's got to be seaworthy.
But I can do things like close gaps and repair. You can repair a boat in no time. I can do it on the way across.
What we could do with is a ballista with like those spikes that grab into it.
Like a harpoon. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we could do with one.
That sounds like...
I doubt they're going to have one.
A lot of rope.
You may have problems fitting that on a 4-person rowboat, Dave.
Well, I was just thinking, if we could, with a load of rope, and we could get all these empty wine skins, tie them so it has trouble going back under. Like
I know,
Jaws.
Davey. If we do that, though, we'll need a bigger boat. Ah, that was good. Come on.
I was waiting for all the jaws.
You set me up there. Davey. It was beautiful. A thing of beauty. Tear in my eye.
So you push out. The coast close to where it's frozen is surrounded by ice floors, which make travel a little dangerous. So what I'm going to need from you is, who is steering the boat?
Whoever's best.
It's a wisdom check. Who wants to steer?
Well, Ace can steer his boat. I'm reasonably wise.
I think it's going to be Corin, isn't it?
Yeah, probably Corin.
Well, I've got 13 wisdom.
You're wiser than me.
Okay.
And me.
You're steering.
Right, I'm going to cast Mage Armor whilst we're busy doing this.
Okay, so you cast Mage Armor, cast that spell, and take it off.
We could have a big pole to push away from these bergs when we notice them.
Yeah, they're called oars.
And I'll cast Tensor's floating disc, and I'll stick the crate on that.
Yeah, well, go.
Wow, holy crap.
With some chunks of meat hanging off the back part of the crate.
Tracy, have you made a floating lure?
Hold on a minute.
Pretty much.
Right, but the side facing the boat. No, the upper end up, right? So that the crate's open on the top, right? So the top, it's just like a box, effectively, So I've left the top part of the crate off, up over, but it's floating on the disc and the meat hanging off the back.
That's awesome.
Okay. Right, so the lake is still in quiet for an hour. The fog is dense. And as the water laps gently against the boat, as you both skillfully navigate around all of those floors, not damaging the boats in any way, and just you skillfully row past them as you head out into the lake.
What happens if it swallows the Tensor's floating disc? Does it end up floating itself?
I don't think so. It can only carry 500 pounds. I guess it depends how big this creature is. So the first hour is quiet and still. Perfect time for some fishing if you wanted to get some in while you're mating, or are you staying on high alert?
I am going to stay on high alert with my hands ready to cast, because
High
I think we're
alert
going to
as
get
well.
one shot.
Yeah, and I'm going to have bows and arrows at hand.
Aye, Chihuahua. Right. The second hour, you run through the dense fog towards the northeast. The only sound is the gentle lap of the water and the gentle splosh of the oars that you put in. Suddenly there's a burst of water. Can everybody give me, select all PCs? Just a 20, I think. Yeah. Right. Sadly, it's Asia. There's a loud splash and water, ice cold water streaks into the boat. And then this enormous red fish with a large protruding from its head leaps out of the water and takes a slap at Asia. But he blocks it and with his arm. And what is Aisha's wisdom?
Put an arrow in it.
His wisdom is...
Right, it leaps out of the water, slaps him, and then it's about to fall back in the water. Does Aisha want to do anything?
Aisha
You can react quickly enough.
will try to grapple it into the boat. How big is this, by the way, when I say this? Am I talking about it's bigger than the boat?
Knucklehead trout are quite big.
In that case, he'll smack it.
Well, he can grapple it. When I say quite big, it's quite big. Do you want to make a grapple?
Yeah, I'll try dragging it into the boat. I just need to find out where grapple is on this fucking massive sheet of stuff.
Right at
there
the
it is.
bottom. Right, so there you go. There. Oh, I've added 2 knucklehead trout.
Nope. I can't grapple. I need to target it.
No, you don't need to target it. You just drag the grapple effect
Yeah.
from the bottom and drop it on the knucklehead trout.
There is no knucklehead trout. I don't have a power map.
Yeah.
Right, so he wraps his bare arms around it, but it wriggles and slips, and then with a loud splash disappears into the water. Corin, who was busy rowing, if you remember rightly, Corin, you grab for your bow, but by the time you grab it, it's disappeared back into the water.
I think we're being attacked by flying trout.
They are quite big. I'm trying to find out exactly how big they are. I think they're about half the size of a man, judging by the number of hit points it has. Right, so that splashes back into the water. Aisha's got wet all down his front and fish slime. It disappears under the water and does not reappear.
I'll clean him up with a pressure, just get rid of the fish slime off him a bit. Is he dry or is he wet? Or
he's a little bit dry, wet, but only where he's went to grab the fish around the actual waist.
Right, eyes peeled.
He thinks that was not the monster.
Right, the next hour passes without incident. It's almost like it's too quiet. Now it's time to say it. It's too quiet.
No, wait, I know. Hey, fishy, 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 fishy. Hey, fishy, fishy, fishy,
Why don't
fishy.
you put some chum over the boat?
Well, we'll chum the water with a couple of pounds of meat.
I'll cover the disc with meat as well.
You chum the water with a couple of pounds of meat.
Tasty.
Pounds of meat. That seems sensible, doesn't it?
Yeah, what could go wrong, Rich?
Literally, what could go wrong? So you start heaving this meat overboard and wait, and you sit there, and there's just a dense fog. You can't see far. There's ripples, and you wait bated breath.
Oh, this is about map. This isn't good.
Oh shit! Here we go.
Okay, and
okay, he hasn't asked for initiative
so
yet.
Basically,
It won't be long.
you look about to see if there's any kind of ripple. The meat bobs.
I'll keep doing the hey, fishy, 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 fishy.
The meat bobs up and down as you look all about.
Oh,
Aye up.
And then there's a ripple and a splash.
I'm waiting for something to break the surface or be targetable.
I'm going to stop staring and get the bow and arrow ready.
You look about, you look quite scared. And then I want a straight roll from Lantesh is in one boat and Corin's in the other.
Oh shit!
Wow, we've got the best dice rolls. You think maybe is that a dark shape under the water, and then boom, Lantesh, something impacts the side of the the side of the boat, sending you and Aisha rocking backwards and forwards across it. And the boat takes damage. There's a spray of water as water starts spraying in the side of the boat. It seems like a little crack.
I try to repair it with the Presto.
Yeah, so you try
just
and
stop the water coming in.
You try and restore it with prestidigitation.
No, you need mend, man.
And basically the shape disappears again under the boat. It didn't appear.
Oh, very, very flash with the old animated battle map there. Very nice.
And then you're all finished.
Oh, we're by cosmic. Look at that.
Yeah, doing well, lads. Doing well. What I like to see. So you wait there. The boat rocks gently backwards and forwards. Lantesh desperately tries to mend the side of the boat that's leaking in water. And then bursting out of the water in a big spray this sight.
Holy shit!
I thought it was reptilian.
Has it got its mouth open towards us?
Yes, it bursts from the surface. It attacks the boat and begins to attack you. So Lantesh, you are up first.
Right. I am going to focus me cloud of daggers in its mouth.
Oh,
hang on, I'm just actually putting something.
Right.
That was meant to go in the crate, and it was meant to swallow the fucking crate. But let's just say I've had to alter the plan of attack.
Right. So the beast appears at the water to take a bite. What are you doing?
Casting cloud of daggers in its mouth space.
So this cloud of daggers appears. Aisha 2.
Aisha 2 will cast Spiritual Weapon.
Okay.
I've never done this, so...
You should just be able to drag the spiritual weapon thing and drop it on the map. There's a little icon for spiritual weapon.
Or do I press the cast button?
No, you don't press the cast.
Got you.
Drag the little token first and drop it on the map. Oh, it's a hammery thing. And then you can attack with it by dragging the attack.
What's a bonus action?
Yeah, dragging the attack button and dropping it on the token of the beast.
It missed, but that was my bonus action.
Yes.
I will hold an attack, so if it gets within range, I'll smash it one.
Yeah, seems sensible. We're all learning new skills. Ben.
I will cast Chromatic Orb at it, hopefully to hit it.
It is wounded. The beast goes, ow, and rears its head back.
So, you can speak?
Yes.
You usually go, ow? What?
Did the beast actually say ow?
It said ow.
Okay.
Right, Sandman.
Well, it's within 10 feet, so if I cast, I'll be disadvantaged, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Burning
so.
hands.
It succeeds and takes some burning damage. And it goes, oh, that's hot. Right, the beast, Tracy, you can do your whatever it is. It's just a damage roll, isn't it?
Yep.
Right, so the beast immediately says, no, and then submerges under the water. Goes 35 feet down and submerges under the water. Corin.
Have I got now to shout at?
No, you can't. You can't shoot it under the water, I'm afraid.
Stick my head over the side of the boat and I shout directly at the water. Really sorry about that. You gave us one hell of a fright. If you come back, we'll promise not to shout you again.
I'm going to ask you for a persuasion check. Well, first of all, I'm going to ask you all for a nature check. Yes, Lantesh, it's a plesiosaurus, but it shouldn't be talking to you.
I'm Plesiosaurus too.
And Corin is going to try and do a persuade your check.
I wonder if this is the same spirit, whatever it was, that was in that kobold.
Right, so the boats don't do it. However, at Lantesh, it's under the water now, so you can't target it with the fog. Are you all just holding until it takes its turn?
No, when it's my turn, tell me. I have a plan.
I think we need to row about.
No, it's all right. Trust me. I've got something to do. I can send a message to it.
Okay.
Oh, can I?
Yeah, that's a good point, Dave. Do you want to?
Yeah, I'll try. Yeah. I'll try using telepathy on it. Why are you attacking?
Firstly, you hear, well, you're using your telepathy. The beast goes, oh, you can talk in my head. That's very clever. Only Raviston could do that. Raviston, yeah. That the little one. He said you weren't going to hurt us.
Yeah, he said that.
Okay, well, I
want to know why you attacked us for.
I'm going to come up because Raviston told me to.
Who's Raviston?
She was the nice druid lady that cast the spell that made me smart, and she said if I didn't stop the people of the people on the boats, she was going to come away and take the intelligence away from us, and I don't want that. I don't want to be dumb again.
Did this druid lady have a walking bush with her?
Yes, she did. It was it had berries on it, and she kept eating the berries.
She's dead.
Oh.
So she's never going to come back and take that.
Oh, okay. I'm going to come up now, but please don't attack me anymore.
Hold your fires, lads. See if we can talk it into submission.
Right, so it moves away from the spiky dagger things, and then it comes to the surface and pokes its head out of the surface once more.
I'll wave and say, hello.
I'll hastily put me bone arrow down.
It pokes its head out and says, I'm sorry, I was just meant to scare you off. And it's speaking in common.
Yeah, Robinson's definitely dead.
Well, a bit of a metagaming, because Andy rolled a 20 on his persuasion roll. It believes you. Nat 20, baby.
Nice one. Like, so we're kind of been sent here to kill you because you've been eating all of the fishermen?
I didn't eat them. I just had to scare them, and I bit them, and some of them panicked and they fell in the water, and then they froze because it's
the water's
cold.
very cold.
I was only supposed to scare them, so I attacked the boats. I didn't attack the fishermen.
Right. Well, how about you stop doing that, and we'll tell them that you living peacefully here.
You might have to catch some knucklehead trout for the fish to make up for them.
Oh, I could do that. I like to eat fish. I swim around the lake and I eat fish, but the lake's getting smaller now because it's all going hard.
Yeah, that's right. You wouldn't know anywhere we could get a heart, do you?
Just the fish hearts. I like fish hearts. They are tasty. They're the tasty bit.
Is there any like giant fish in here, like monstrous sized fish?
No, it's just those stupid things with the big heads, and I like to eat those.
Do you regenerate?
I don't know what that word is.
Let's say somebody cut your tail off, would it?
Don't cut my tail off.
No, it's just a question.
No, if you cut my tail off, it'll not grow back.
I will look at Andy. I'll look at Corin with this sort of, what do you want us to do look?
I look back at Sandwin and go, I can't.
Really?
Yeah.
I would.
I cannot.
Yeah, I know you cannot, but I could if you wanted us to. If you tell us to do it, I'll do it. I'll message him and say, if you tell us to do it, I'll do it, and I won't have to explain to anyone why I did it. I'll just make some bullshit up. Or there could be another source.
He says, well, I can bring fish to the people if they're nice, because I have got no one to talk to, because ever since Raviston left, there's only me and the fish, but I can't talk to people because I was supposed to scare them off.
There's a lovely lady called Tally who would love to speak to you.
She sounds nice.
She's very nice.
Do you shed skin?
No.
What about chippings from your claws?
I don't have any claws. I've got flippers, and he holds his flipper up.
Okay, one last question. Have you ever seen anyone else like you?
Raviston had one of those little things with the long ears with her, and she was talking to that, and she says that she was going to make lots of brothers and sisters like me, but she said that if I didn't scare all of the people from the town, then she'd come back and take it away from us.
Right. Okay. You've been really helpful. What's your name?
I don't know. I've never had a name. I didn't. I got the funny magic feeling in my head, and I don't know what that was, but I got a feeling in my head, and then I could talk, but I've never had a name because I've never had anybody to talk to before.
We'll call you Daldy.
Daldy. Okay, that sounds like a nice name.
It's a very nice name. And we're going to do something called franchising, but we'll talk about that later. Oh, Lonely Wood's across the water from here. Isn't that handy?
Very.
Yeah, Raviston said I didn't have to go up there. She said just to go down to the bottom.
Yeah, we'll sort out Targos, but stay away from people. I'll arrange for this Tally girl to meet you, but we've got to be nice to her, right? And
I will bring her a fish, and I won't even eat any of it.
She will be very happy with that.
Yeah, make sure it's dead, though.
Yeah, we'll tell the people of the town you don't have to be frightened of you anymore, okay?
That's great. I would like to talk to people.
I will arrange that.
I've got a feeling this will have a knock-on effect and boost tourism and commerce to the area.
No,
because everybody will come here to see him.
Yes, but we know how to talk to him, so we're going to have Daldy, Daldy, the Mayor Dalden monster, is going to make appearances outside the bar at Lonely Wood. So there'll be Daldy spotters all up and down, and we'll be the pub that they all come to. We'll have Daldy memorabilia. We'll be the first one to make Daldy t-shirts. We're going to be so rich.
Ask him if he can walk on land.
No, I can't. I can only swim in the water.
Well.
That's why I'm stuck here because the lake's getting smaller and smaller, and I can only live here. I can't move out. Every day it gets smaller.
Well, we'll try and fix that as well. Thank you. Been nice meeting you, Daldy. I'll turn and look at Colin.
Thank you for not killing me. That sharp thing, that really hurt. And the fire. Luckily it's cold water, so I won't blister.
That is very, very lucky. We'll head back to Bremen.
Right. So Daldy swims alongside you for a while and asks if he can follow you along for a bit and chat, because he doesn't have anybody to talk to.
You throw over the spare bits of meat to him.
These are very nice. These are like fish, but not fish.
Yeah, they're called Yeti.
I've never met a Yeti. You think I can talk to a Yeti? Or are they like fish? Are they stupid?
No, they're not like fish. They're just angry. Really angry. And
they're not very nice things. They're not very nice things.
They get really upset when you mess about with them, and after they've messed about with you.
So several hours later, you appear back in Bremen, dragging the boats, the newly repaired boat.
Drop the boats off, go and see Tally, because that's the important thing.
Right, Tally is waiting with bated breath. Oh, thank God that you came back. I thought I might have to examine my moss samples by myself.
No, I would help you, but we've got a friend for you to meet, but unfortunately you can't really leave Dualden. Yeah.
Dualden.
So is it Dualdi?
Dualdi, yeah. Dualdi, we've met Dualdi, the Mayor Dualden monster. And he's very nice.
What? He's very nice? But
he's very nice. He's going to stop attacking.
People?
No, he's going to stop. Well, he didn't. He just knocked them out of the boat and then
It's a long story. He was under the instruction of a very evil, nasty druid who no longer exists because we confronted her. And he was told she threatened him. All he was meant to do was scare the fishermen, which is why he was attacking the boats, not the fishermen. But unfortunately, some of the fishermen got knocked in the water, and obviously they froze to death. But he's not nasty. He didn't mean to harm anybody. But now that druid's dead, he's just a very, very lonely monster.
So I've told him you would love to talk to him.
She has a massive smile on her face and says, that would make my decade if you could, if this is true.
He's a plastosaurus, but he's an intelligent one that can talk.
From the Pleistocene period.
The Pleistocene. This is wonderful. This is excellent. I've never thought I could possibly speak to a creature like that. How they managed to do that? How they managed to get an animal
I don't know.
to speak?
She used magic, but we used our magic of caring.
Oh.
The power of love and understanding. Free the world.
And Earl, just for a minute, you sure, you hear a voice at the back of your mind and goes, I think she likes you. But by this point, you're used to Dave talking to you, but it wasn't Dave's voice, which is weird.
I'll think back to the voice and say, I'm pretty sure she does. I am quite irresistible.
Right, so as we have dealt with Dualdi, I'm going to call a 5-minute bio because the back teeth are flown. Okay, so are you spending another day there? You've been there quite most of the day because you've spent 6 hours tramping across the lake and it has come in dark.
Well, we might as well have another night and a hot bath and then go in the morning.
It's true. So did you pay for one night or was it 2 nights? I can't remember.
It was 1 night, so I need to knock off another 2 gold for another night.
Now that you're flush with it, now that you've got a huge chest full of gold, they're spending a night out and then they're heading out.
Okie dokie.
Right, so what is the plan?
We'll head down the 10 trail, the Red Run, along the Red Run to the thing.
Right, so a dog can move, so it can do 15 mile, and it has to rest. So you can get to there. Right, Andy, can you give me a animal handling roll? Is there any other?
Very probably.
Oh, 19, because of your prowess, Andy. You got a 20, because you got +1. You actually move an extra mile because of your driving prowess.
Yeah, you say so. We'll camp next to them trees.
You camp next to them trees for 3 hours, and then you've got another 2 hours of daylight. So what I'm going to need to do now is I'm going to have to check the weather, because I love doing that. Straight roll. Oh, it's a snowstorm. So the snow is coming in as you pull up next to the trees, and it's certainly not looking that great.
Try and get the tent up in the lee of the trees, and then feed the dogs.
Yeah, so you feed the dogs a pound of meat each. Did you you still only have the 6?
Yes, I believe so. Wait a minute. Well, I find this huge pile of meat. I can't remember whether I'm carrying it or not. Ah, yes, there it is. I want 6 off that, don't I?
I'm going to mention to you all right that there was, since we're heading towards the goblin place, something unnerved me a little. What the speaker mentioned. He coined the phrase of a town called Carculoak, which was supposedly the goblin town. Well, that means home in Gnomish. So I don't know whether they've commandeered a gnome town as their own. But if they have, then it's all the more important that we vanquish the goblins from this place. I just thought I'd let you know that because I'm really concerned about this.
Well, what we should do is when we meet them, let's see what we can get them to reveal.
Right, so you've got the rest of today's traveller, which gets you to there, along the frozen river, the Red Run. It's frozen solid, but at least it means you can chip the ice off and, boil some tea up. Now, I know that rangers can generally forage, but I assume that's when you're walking and stuff rather than driving a sled, unless Andy's going to hang off the back on some kind of fishing hook kind of affair.
I'm up for doing that just for shits and giggles, but I do agree with you.
It doesn't make a lot of sense that he could be foraging while driving.
I presume we'd have to stop, put the tent up, and then go out foraging. That would make more sense to me.
Yes. So that is a full day's travel, and you're going to have to camp overnight.
What duck? We'd better have watches then.
Aye.
I think the party sheet is working. If you go to party sheet and go to order, and then you see the little number. It's got your watch order.
Hang on.
So we can set and forget it.
All right. Well, I'll take first watch because I've been driving all day, if that's all right.
Yeah.
Since I can see in the dark, I'll take second watch.
Okay.
I'll take fourth then, because I can see in the dark.
I'll take the last watch.
Aisha can't see in the dark. When is Aisha going to take it? So there's only 4 watches.
2 years have got 2.
Yeah, because Dave said he'll take the last watch, which is 4.
Well, hang on.
The third.
Wait a minute. When will it be light?
10 o'clock in the morning is as light as it gets.
Yeah, no, which watch?
That will be 4th watch.
All right, so I need to be earlier than that then.
Will you? Yeah,
just because I'll be able to see anything as well.
Because I was
take the first watch.
I'll go on with somebody else. I'll take if we're.
Yeah, so if you double up the unseeing people with the seeing people.
Yep, that sounds like a plan.
Aye, well, Lantesh and Aisha could do 4th watch.
First watch.
Better.
Yep.
Well, you tell me who's doing what. I think you can set your own.
I'll take first watch with Corin.
Okay, and Aisha takes 4th watch.
Yeah,
because he's a big lad.
Aye, and he can wake. We're all up if it all goes pear-shaped.
Because the marching formation thing was broke, but I'm not sure if they fixed it. Oh no, they have. So you can actually. It was doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So you can set your general marching order, so I can go when I spring surprises on you.
50.
Cool. Right. Well, sadly, there's no random encounter over the night as I have rolled 1. So you wake up refreshed the next morning. It's cold. You will have to eat.
Sorry to interrupt, Rich, but
Yes.
you're on the party sheet.
Yes.
If you click on the combat tab, you get all your stats.
Oh yeah. I put that in. It used to be on your individual character sheets, but he's moved it all to the party sheet, presumably because it's easier for the whole party to see.
That's really clever.
I like that.
Like I've got 10 kills and they're all Earl. Right. So sadly now the dogs are moving slower, so they can move.
What's the numbers in blue mean?
1, 2, 3 gets them to there, and then can I have an animal handling role plays on? Hey, to see how you're doing.
Possibly.
Right, a 9. So you actually don't make as good time. You hit difficult terrain, so you move 1 less mile than you normally would. Then you have a quick break for lunch, and I roll all the bad things. Bah! No random encounter. And weather table at the -2.
Really?
A snowstorm sweeps in once more. It looked like at one point it may break into a blizzard, but sadly, no. So you actually travel another 6 miles. I assume you're just following the river because you were told to go to the river.
Seems to be the easiest way of doing it.
Right, I'll delete this talk because and that's where you camp in the open with the spine of the world looming over you.
Lovely.
Sadly, however,
Well, there's a couple of trees.
there's a few trees, but not many. So you. Wow, okay. You have another quiet night by some miracle. And on the third day, you head along the river, the fork, and then you were told to head straight south. Heading straight south to arrive, after a little looking around that maybe takes half an hour, at the goblin village of Cockalook. Right, I've got things to show you.
I can't see what on the map.
You went off the edge of Twy.
All right, okay.
This is the sight that greets your eyes as you approach the Goblin Fortress on the edge of the mountains. A great chasm lies on one side, and two great towers
on
are
a
in the
port.
middle.
Don't like the idea of Hades on a port.
The Goblin Prison Fort clings to an icy crag in the rocky, wind-blasted western foothills of the spine of the world. You see a map, he says, as you approach. Two great towers constructed of wood with giant spikes and teeth stand out. You see a whole bunch of goblins line the walls. I'm just setting them up for you guys. Let me see. We have right. A fiery brazier casts its flickering light on the 30-foot high spiked ramparts that frame the gate. There are goblins on two towers overlooking the gate. And as you have all turned up, you should be able to see yourselves and the large goblin towers. The goblins are dressed in their crude cold weather clothing that you've seen before, but they have sprayed looks like words or pictures or icons on themselves. They chitter to themselves loudly as you approach. So what do we do? You've pulled up in the
mystery machine.
Pulled up in the mystery machine. You have Bob with you, and you stand looking at this Goblin Fortress.
I'll say in my poshest voice, "Good afternoon, gentlemen. You asked for us to come and parley with you. I wish to speak to whoever sent this message." What was their name on the message again?
Yeah, there was Yabnik.
Yabnik.
You shout Nabnik. You hear all the goblins cheer, Yabnik!
And exactly.
One of them points to the south, around the large outcropping, indicating you should step forward to the main gate. So as you come around, see the gigantic 20-foot high gate. This structure impresses you for goblin construction.
Mm-hmm.
The gate is 20 feet tall and fashioned out of cross-hatched pieces of wood that have been lashed together. A heavy chain and padlock seals the gate from the inside.
Is that
you notice a bar.
Gnomish construction from my point of view.
So you look it over, and your experience, because of the time you spent with your brother, it looks like it was definitely influenced by gnomes, but they may have had to use cruder materials and less skilled workforce.
All right.
I'll shout, "We're here to speak with Yabnik."
The 6 goblins stamp their feet atop the ramparts and shout, Yabnik! And wave their scimitars in the air. You can see the goblins along the front are carrying bows, and they have them trained upon you. And a goblin comes down and unlocks the heavy iron padlock, opening the doors to the inside. You, come.
Okay, let's go.
What are you doing with the sled? Are you leaving it outside? Are you driving it in?
We're driving it in, and we're not leaving our sled out here to get eaten.
Right, so you drive here. As you look in through the doors, you notice a distinctly strange sight greets your eyes. It looks like there's a solid wall ahead of you, but there's 2 great lifts that this goblin here indicates you forward to get into the lifts. And they lift up onto the wooden ramparts.
That is unusual. I'll send a message to Lantesh in ahead and say, is this gnomish? Because it doesn't look goblin to me.
All of the goblins, you can see you're literally surrounded by them, have bows trained on you and are chittering to each other.
I'll say it back in my head. It's crudely fashioned, but it has gnomish influence. I get the impression that it's made by an inferior workforce and inferior materials.
Oh, okay. Right, follow along.
Okay, so you dismount from the sled and get into the caves that lift up to the strange rampart ahead, yes?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so the goblin leads you onto the ramparts, and you are led into... You notice as you pass that the goblin crawler is off to one side, so you park your sled in the same place as the goblin crawler. Now you look at it, Tracy, you weren't really sure, but it definitely looks definitely looks more mechanically sound.
Ooh.
This is the Goblin Wagon, and that is
All right.
definitely more mechanically sound than you would expect from a whole bunch of goblins.
Right. Okay. I'll not the sound when hopefully get what I mean, since I can't send the message in my head.
I'll send her a message and say you rang.
All right. Yes, this is definitely more normishly soundly made than Goblin.
Right, you're gonna like this. Not a lot, but you're gonna like that. 2 rickety wooden bridges loom over this area at the height of 30 feet and 50 feet, respectively. The higher bridge is missing a large section of its middle, and what remains of that structure doesn't look safe. 2 iron cages hang from beams that extend southeast of the lower bridge. One of the cages twirls on its heavy iron chains as a flurry of black-feathered ravens tear into the flesh of the desolate creature caged within. Underneath the bridge is a warg with a rider on its back. The rider, swathed in cold weather clothing, appears to be a rather fat goblin. North and west of the high bridge, resting in the snow, are 3 large wooden cages currently empty.
I don't like this.
Snubsuck from the back of his warg. He's like, "You come, lift, see Yabnik, yes?"
Yes.
Every time somebody says Yabnik, all the goblins in the nation go, "Yabnik!"
I wonder if Yabnik translates as crackerjack.
As you approach these caves here, the main battle platform, this 30-foot tall wooden watchtower is connected to the snowy ridges on either side of it by wooden bridges. Hanging off it are a pair of empty iron cages, and dangling underneath the tower's raised platform is a 9-foot tall, golem-like construction with a helm-shaped head. The humanoid construction is attached to an array of ropes and pulleys that make it look like a giant marionette. It hangs limply, and here is a piece of artwork I did with my graphic tablet, and looks like this.
A mech?
Oh no! Don't give her a battle mech.
Oh yeah.
It hangs limply, like as if it was, just it had no motion or anything. It just hangs limply from the top of the tower.
And do I know? Have I seen anything like this before?
I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a DC 20.
Okay, doke.
Arcane.
Because it does look rather impressive.
No, it's not something that you have seen. But actually, I'm going to someone because he's a magic type. No, there's definitely something about it, but that is hanging from strings from the. As you're standing there, you say that these goblins have run around the outside and are keeping you covered with many bolts.
Yeah, but at least that suggests that there's not like millions more of them we kind of see.
Yep, they would be making themselves scarce if we were the only ones. So good point.
Snubsuck, standing in front of you astride his warg, says, "Me Snubsuck, me boss, you cages, Yabnik upstairs."
Okay, when he says cages, I take you mean the lift, not a cell.
He does indicate the lift, but those 2 weird-looking lifts, but he says cages.
Head towards the lift.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He hustled you into the lift. There are goblins all around on the upper levels, but I quickly moving the door, so you hopefully see them. So I am going to lift you up. I'm going to lift you up with your goblin escort. You get
so far, how many goblins have we seen so far?
Maybe 20, 30.
Okay, doke.
You look down over the northern side of the wall, and this side of on a wide snow-covered shelf, surrounded by the drop that you saw in the picture, 6 conical tents fashioned from animal skins and bark, draped over wood frames, are arranged in a circle around a burning brazier. You hear the bleating of goats and see several goats wandering about, as well as a lot of goblins. Looking over to the right, don't know if you can see it. Can you see the depression to the south?
Yeah.
Aha, there you go. You can see the depression to the south. East.
Mm-hmm.
Right. In that area, it looks like there's a whole bunch of those strange egg-shaped things are like peasant huts. And in amongst them run several starving children. Now that you've had a closer look, their skin is drawn and it looks like they may be on the verge of salvation. And coming along the tunnel to the east from the west, it looks like there is a small goblin child dragging, as he can barely lift it, a scimitar. He slowly drags and scrapes this thing along.
So basically, it's the same here as everywhere else in 10 Towns.
Yes. This goblin child marches up to you, slowly dragging the scimitar. His ribs show what you can see under his crude leather clothing. He's got rags stuffed inside to try and added to the cold weather clothing, and he walks up to you, and then badly still come, and he says, "You killed my dad. He worked crawler. Are you nuggy? I fight you."
Okay.
So this small 6-year-old goblin drags this scimitar towards you. Are you stepping forward?
I'll step forward and cast sleep on him.
Right.
But I'll do it dramatically.
He attempts to raise it. He can barely even move it. And as he gets it a couple of inches off the ground, you easily have enough time to raise your hand and cast sleep, and he falls asleep to the ground.
I'll try and grab him before he hits the ground.
You grab him as he falls to the ground. Goblins say, "He challenged you. Just kill whelp. With business."
I'll turn round to the goblin and say, "Shut up and wait." I'll turn round to toss goblin up my hand and go, "Ration."
I'll hand over a ration.
I'll peel the ration back and bring him round with smelling salts from the healing kit, and then feed him the ration.
He looks at you with absolute hatred. You killed Pa.
I did. I didn't do it out of malice, and I'm sorry if it brought you any hurt. But everyone in 10 towns is screwed at the minute. So you fighting and getting yourself killed over it isn't going to help, is it? Your ma not need someone to look after her?
I think. It's not bad. Says,
Go look
yes.
after your ma. I didn't mean to kill your pa. I'm sorry he's dead. Here's a ration. Give it to your ma. And if anyone tries to take it off you because they're bigger and uglier than you, turn around and remind them that I'm standing next to this guy, and I'll point at Aisha, and he's bigger than uglier than everyone here.
The kid shoots you a look of hatred, but his eyes catch the ration and light up, and he grabs it and hugs it to his chest, and then gallops off. You look south into the village, and you see a lot of children. There must be maybe 30 goblin kids in there, all in the same state of hunger. Goblin says, "Well, when he come back, when him grow up, he come back fight you."
Sure he will, and then I'll kill him. But what's the point in killing someone who doesn't have a chance?
You kill him, then you take their stuff.
That's not our way.
Yep.
You kill on crawler.
Did, yeah.
Only because we were attacked first.
Right, so these are kind of like screwy the way that the map is working. So he leads you across the bridge into a well-constructed appears to be there are 2 double doors. Several more goblins have come round, waving their arms, and he opens the doors in front of you, and you see a bunch of goblins inside, hopefully 4 more goblins, and he says, "These come see Yabnik," and all the goblins shout, "Yabnik!"
We'll go and see Yabnik!
Which they lead you through into the dining room, in which a final goblin is standing guard outside, and you're surrounded by a whole bunch of goblins at this point now, who are all holding weapons. Are you pretty convinced that maybe you would get him? Wow, so much exposition for this bit as I try to move you into the dining room. So do you want to do anything else, or are you just waiting to see what the actual fuck is going on?
I'm waiting to see what the fuck is going on.
I'm waiting to say Yabnik and kill him.
100 gold pieces. Right, so the goblin guard knocks on the door, and knocks on the door, a goblin, and shouts, Yabnok, men come, 10 towns. And a muffled voice shouts, "Yes, I'll be out in minute." So the goblins all stand, look threatening, with weapons, hands on hilts.
AC grins at them, like he just turns around and leers.
And then the door opens, and out steps a goblin, Yabnok. Steps forward, and here's again a picture I had to go off and download because in the module, but not in the conversion. And he looks a little unusual. And as he steps out, you notice he's got a stick in his mouth, and his lower jaw is working away, chewing on this stick.
Oh, he is unusual. Yabnik, I presume.
And he speaks and says, "Yes, I Yabnok. I boss." And all the goblins go, "Yabnik!"
He looks like freaking Frankenstein's monster.
I boss. Chew, chew, chew. Does anybody speak goblin?
I
don't think they do.
So.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
I'll just type something in goblin. It's a quick bit to find out.
No, I don't.
Yeah, so understood by nobody. I am not. I boss, and he holds his hands up in the air. And the goblins go, "Yeah!" and cheer. And he goes, "Yabnok, Parley, want food? And we leave you in peace. 100 rations a month." And he turns to the goblins and goes, "100 rations, feed everybody." They all go, "Yeah!"
Yeah, no.
He says to that goblin, the little one, he says, "Yo, bring pretty one me." And Lantesh, the other goblin, walks over to apparently bring you forward to Yabnok. He says, and he taps his shoulder and goes, taps his chest and goes, "Me Yabnok, me boss, 100 ration, feed people, no fight." To you, the goblin comes over with his hand on his crude scimitar, Lantesh, to bring you forward to Yabnok. You wish
He stepped forward. Obviously, he must want to talk to me. He must think I can understand him.
Right, the goblin pushes you forward in a rather crude manner, to which
Asia looms.
the goblin stands behind you, pushes you forward to Yarbnock, and Yarbnock's like, this pretty one, this Yarbnock's, and they all go, yeah, Yarbnock's. And he leans in and you can smell his foul breath, and he whispers in perfect Gnomish, help me, you've got to get me out of here, they're going to kill me. And he goes, Yarbnock! And all the goblins go, Yarbnock!
What does he say? Because I think somebody knocked something over.
He leans forward and in perfect Gnomish whispers, help me, you've got to get me out of here, they're going to kill me. And then goes, Yarbnock! And they'll go, Yarbnock!
Right, okay.
And then he points at Aisha and goes, 100 rations, feed people. And his jaw chews and chews and chews on this.
I'll say, is there some place we can discuss this matter in private?
Yarbnock stands forward, like puffs his chest out and goes, says to his man, he's like, see, Yarbnock lady, Yarbnock. And they'll go, Yarbnock! He goes, you come Yarbnock's chamber. It's like I get smarmy and indicates this chamber to the north.
Right.
And heads in. You can see there's a lavish bed and a 10-foot square room featuring 2 wooden shelves that hold half dismantled objects and other junk. In the middle of the room, there's a stand where cold weather clothes stand next to a metallic egg-shaped crate as big as Yarbnock is.
If I scream, Ish, come and get us.
The goblins all eye you viciously. You wish to step inside.
Sorry, 1 minute.
Okay, I'm just going to pause at that.
And I'll say to these,
Remember, Dave, you can telepathically communicate backwards and forwards among the party, being the middleman, but you do hear that disturbing whispering when you do.
I'll say to Lantash, telepathically, looks like you're pulled.
No, I'll turn round and say to him, just to let the rest know if trouble immenses. He's asked that we need to get him out of here. So I think, there's more to this.
I will hear.
All right, okay. I'll think that. Right, so I'll go and have a quiet word with him out to shout at these other goblins.
I'll just move over that side and guard the other side of the door. Goblins are no bloody goblins.
Right, so you step inside the chamber. Yarbnock steps forward, winks and glares lewdly at the other goblins who chuckle to themselves and closes the door and slides a bolt into place and then says, thank Christ for that, you got me message. And he goes on the back of his head and he like fiddles with something and then the head cracks open and underneath you see a gnome and he's like, you've got to get me out of here. They're suspicious. They're going to kill me.
How the hell did he get involved with this lot?
He says, it's a long story. We don't have much time unless I can bounce up and down on the bed or something.
Right. Okay.
Oh God, I can just imagine them both bouncing up and down on the bed while chatting.
He says,
right. So, right. Okay, let's think.
He says, look, I'll try and make it short, yeah? Before I came here 5 years ago, before the place froze over, my name is Spellix Romwood, and I was travelling through the mountain pass with a small caravan when it was caught in an avalanche. The goblins who had set it as a trap grabbed all of the survivors and dragged them back to the caves in the mountains to be eaten. They didn't see me, and so to free my companions, I used the stuff that was there to build this goblin suit. He says, I've been here for 5 years and I've tried to teach the goblins to become less violent. And as you can see, instead of living in filthy little caves, we've actually got some place to live. The trouble are goblins take a very long time to change, and if they see any kind of weakness, they'll kill us. And I know for a fact the healer, she suspects Manifek, and if I'm unmasked as a goblin, they'll kill me. He says, I designed this place, I designed the crawler, and when I'd heard that a bunch of adventurers had killed some goblins, I mean, I was sad because they're kind of like my family, if you know what I mean. But
the goblins,
they're slowly coming around. They're raising families, but like everybody else, we're freezing to death in here. And my suit's malfunctioning. You can see that he's got the head split open, but the lower jaw is still chewing away. He goes, Yarbnock in Goblin is the chewer. So I've perpetrated the lie that I'm always hungry, but the suit's breaking down. I haven't got any spare parts. And as soon as it does, and as he says that, there's like a spark pops out at the jaw, and he goes, when the suit stops working, they'll know something's up, and then I'm dead meat. The only way I think of getting out of here was to get you lot here, and try and think of a way to get me out. You've got to get me out.
Right. How about this?
He starts like sitting and bouncing on the bed.
Right. Well, you can do that while somebody's talking. How about this? We'll go back into the room yonder, because there's a table in that room, isn't there?
Yeah, it's a dining area.
Right. Okay. And you'll say, order your guards to leave with some festivities to celebrate this reunion, which will give her time to talk as a party. There's quite a few of the goblins here in number. I've no idea how to facilitate your escape without bringing them into the conversation, and the only way I can foresee doing this is by bringing them on board, and obviously we'll need some private time to discuss that. So yeah, just say to your gods that I've agreed to become your queen or whatever, for a word, your consort, in return for some privacy with me companions, and so we can sit and have a drink and a chat.
Well, we need something to distract them. I mean, I can go out and tour the battlements and things. Is there anything else you want to ask them while you're in here? I can take them away, but we need something to distract them.
Do you have, is there like changing of guard times and things like that? Obviously, because they aren't always on duty, so when is the best time to facilitate? I mean, I'm not up on goblin tactics as such. You've spent a long time with these guys. When would be the best chance to procure an escape in case we did have to attack?
He says that there isn't really. They're fanatical, and I'll have to go with them because the guards won't leave me alone. Because
I get that. I'll relay any information that you can give us that may be helpful to the party. Because, like I say, I something with these numbers you're talking about, I'm going to need them on board.
He says if we only had something to distract them with, like, I don't know, but the only thing that responded was bloody food and loot.
Distraction.
How much meat have we got left on that slate?
£70.
Quite a lot of meat. I have a plan. It's awesome. It won't work, but it's awesome. Can we leave and come back when I'm 5th level, and this will be so much easier.
So he says we'll have to get out there, and he fiddles about, and like his helmet goes and like pops back on, and he says they'll be suspicious if I'm too long.
What was that?
Yeah, I get that.
I was thinking if we dumped a load of the meat, and they'll probably fight over it, and that could be a distraction.
And what about something like, to ratify the deal, Yabnok is going to come with us and make the representative from 10 towns to kind of sign on the dotted line, so to speak, and he can bring half a dozen of his best warriors with him, and then when the deal is done, the 7 of them will come back with the rations. We can take 6 goblins,
and they need to bring some cargo sleds to bring the meat back to their camp.
The goblins don't have any sleds. They have one crawler and a bunch of wolves you've seen wandering about, but they don't have any actual sleds.
Well, they could bring the crawler. I mean, I suppose that could hold 100 rations.
Well, just tell them that we'll provide the sleds to come back with them, because we'll arrange for the sleds to come back with the meat.
The sad thing is, we really do need the. We really need the kids. They're starving. Over the last 2 years, we've already lost a few. This last 10 days or so to hunger.
I might have a solution to this, but it would entail getting hold of an item that's in our possession. But I'd need it. It would be a party decision, because it's not my decision alone to make. Which would help the children.
He says, "Okay, I'll take the guards out and tell them that I'll tell them that we need to go and secure something on the battlement or something. Get them out of the room and give you a few minutes.
That would be great." Right,
so the door flies open and Yarbnik steps out again. And he's like, "Yarbnik, yes!" And all the goblins cheer. And he's like, "Come with me. we have to go and secure the battlements. These people are going to stay here, and they're going to pray to the glory of Yarbnik while they discuss how many rations they're going to give us. The goblins go, and he leads the goblins outside. He comes out last because obviously the goblins won't leave him alone, and he sort of looks over his shoulder at you, Tracy, as he leads them out. You maybe have a few minutes to discuss.
Did we hear the bouncing on the bed?
You did, yes. It was loud and deliberate for Yarbnik to establish his dominance.
I just looked shocked at Lantesh.
And he leads them out, and he says, I can only give you a few minutes, mind.
Okay, right. I'll explain to you lot that that he's in a suit, right, a goblin suit. His group of people were attacked, and he hid and managed. And the goblins didn't see him. He managed to fashion a suit out, to look like a goblin. And he's asked, and his suit's now failing. He's sincere in the fact that they are starving, particularly the children, who he seems to be more concerned about. And that part of it is true. And he says that, that they are coming round to his way of thinking, a little bit more civilized. Well, if you can think of the goblins being civilized. But he needs to get out of here. I thought it was something up by calling it the Fortress of Cargalac, but that was a message, like subversive message, which I now realise what he was trying to do. But we've got to come up with some sort of plan, and at the same time, got to try and save these people from starving if we can. And that in itself might turn the tide and how they see outsiders. It might, we've got to make the first move. Sometimes, in war and peace, one side has to offer an olive branch. It had crossed my mind about the air cauldron that we'd left. I know us civilised lot, I know we're all starving, but us civilised lot have got better ways and means of procuring food. This lot just don't seem to have a hope's hell's chance. What do you think? And how we're going to get him out of here? We've got about a few minutes before he's going to be back, so whatever we decide, we're not make it fast.
What about give them the pile of meat we've got on the sled, less what we'll need for the dogs to get back to Bryn Shander, as a sign of good faith. Promise them the cauldron, even though we've got no intention of delivering. And he needs to come to collect it. So he may want to bring sort of 4 or 5, half a dozen of his best guards with him. Once we get away from this place, off the guards, release him, clear off back to Bryn Shander. We've swayed our conscience by giving them some food, but they're not getting the cauldron.
What about the townsfolk, the children and the women folk and whatnot? Who
the goblins?
I've got an idea. We could arrange a trade deal. They could go fishing in the lake, and we could teach them. And they could be taught to fish. The old saying about teach a man to fish, or goblin in this case. We could ask them to come along to finalise the deal, but we could also cast mend on his suit.
I suspect his suit's probably magical.
And it's not one thing, Dave. It's made up with many little parts. But no, I'm not interfering with your plans anyway.
We could take out the guards.
I mean, Dave, you can actually communicate him telepathically, remember? So you can be asking him questions while he's out and about.
I'll ask him questions. What's the chance of you being allowed with a party of your goblins to come with us to 10 towns to arrange a trade and fishing deal? And then, we teach your goblins how to fish in the lake so they'll always have food.
He says it's possible, but the only problem is Manafek.
Manafek can come with us?
No, she is a goblin of the old ways. She rails against this civilized behaviour, and I know she's been drumming up support from among the goblins.
So do the goblin thing and blow her head off?
Well, once I leave, there'll be nobody to stop her doing whatever she wants. And as long as I'm alive, then she can't take control of the tribe.
What kind of magic do you have?
She's like not much magic, to be honest. She's more of like a medicine woman or a.
Well, I was thinking that some of us can do precipitation, and we could like appeal to the goblin gods and using precipitation to like get a favourable answer. But I don't suppose they'll go against their god, because that would be going against their tradition.
Another suggestion. Once we get him out of here, off to Caer Dineval, have a word with those knights and tell them there's this goblin place over here, packed full of Charlatan. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
So are you transmitting all of this, Dave, or are you just because you could be the central hub, the Wi-Fi router, as it were?
Well, I'll give him editing highlights because I don't think he'd go well for arranging the tribe to be wiped out by a load of bloodthirsty things.
What about if I asserted a right as supposedly your consort to challenge her authority? Would that be, because I don't know if that's goblin ways. I know some tribes it is a female prominent figure taking out another one.
That's possible,
and it might be acceptable to the rest of them to accept maybe some of my ways into the tribe if I can exert a show of power.
Okay, but we can't just march up and attack her. She'd have to issue challenge. It's all about face and who the goblins perceive as
unless I issue her with a challenge as a show of power to you, to show that you've got a powerful right hand, to show my worth to you, so to speak.
Yeah, that could definitely work.
And that way, that would get her out of the way, eliminate one of our worries, and then we can address the rest of it.
Okay, it says, well, after her, it's Snubsuck is the next most senior goblin. But unless we find a way to feed them, then they're going to resort to raiding again.
Well, why don't we get Snubsuck to come with him as his bodyguard, and we'll deal with him on the way home?
Go on.
So the problem is, right, if we give the goblins the cauldron, they're going to be strong and raiding again before the people of 10 towns have recovered.
Yeah.
Second of all, another big problem is if we do some sort of coup d'etat here, there's a chance that we have to kill every goblin in here, including the kids, because if we leave the kids, they're going to starve to death. So we can either try to whisk him away and leave them to it, which would be the safest option for everyone, or we Knight of Knives the bastards and just kill them all.
You can always just poison the food if you wanted to be cruel.
Well, that is quite cruel, but I also don't have any handy poison.
I thought you were a man of herbs in many ways. I am a man of herbs in many ways, and I'm sure I could think of some dangerous herbs. Unfortunately, they probably would have eaten them already because they're starving.
Did I ask them about the idea of the goblins learning how to fish trade and the bones for extra food?
Yeah, if I only had some spare parts to repair the suit, but I don't know any tinkers or anywhere I could get spare parts.
We know a tinker.
Oh God, no.
I have a plan. We might be able to repair the suit, but it'll involve you coming to 10 towns, and they'll probably try to kill them. But if your escort was to die and you return, would that be a big deal?
Well, to be honest though, Earl, you can actually have Goblin and Kobold PCs, and you've already integrated a bunch of Kobolds. 10 Towns is well known as the place where you go if you've got nowhere else to go. In fact, I think there's an 80s tune about that.
Right,
but we're not taking the women and children there. How many
of them are there?
How many? We've got about 30 children. We've got about 40 warriors, maybe half a dozen wolves.
So like 100 goblins. Well, we could feed 100 goblins in 10 towns, but we would have to persuade 10 towns to take on 100 goblins. And we would also have to persuade the goblins to fucking adjust their attitude.
I could maybe, if we've got permission to fish. I mean, are you talking in Mare Duldoon or are you talking in Lactinishire? I don't think it would make it as far as Lactinishire. Although we have been up once, way past the northeast of Lactinishire. That's where that soup came from.
What about Lonelywood? Plenty. It's right on the fishing thing there.
Well, it's Redwaters, isn't it? Is that lake still open?
Well, what we can do is move the whole tribe.
If you look at Redwater, Dave, the blue bit is the open bit. It's 90% frozen.
I see.
Ice fishing.
Bryn Shander first, and then from Bryn Shander, we'll see if we can't settle them somewhere. We'll order quite a few favours, but they need to be productive. I'll turn around to our friend and say they can't just raid. They need to be productive, which is an issue, really, isn't it?
Well, I've stopped them raiding. The reason that we're on the verge of a coup is because they're starving and the crawler hasn't been able to bring back enough food. If I can get them fishing at Myrtle Down, the crawler could make runs backwards and forwards. If we've got enough food to keep them going for the time being, it'd be teaching them how to fish. It's not something that they've ever done.
We're probably carrying about 70 pounds of food.
If only you had somebody at Myrtle Down who could just dump loads of fish on the side of the...
Yeah, we can arrange
It's funny you should mention that.
At Myrtle Down or Lonelywood, we can arrange food.
Well, look, I would say Lonelywood, because then we've got better ways of keeping an eye on the.
That is a very good point. That's a very good point.
Do we really want them all coming round the pub of an evening?
Yeah, why not? If they've got jobs, they'll have gold.
They'll be thankful for it, and we can give them jobs, and some of them can work for us, and with our influence, petering down through the ranks and into the minds and whatnot of the children, we can gradually retrain these people. We've got more control if they come to Lonelywood.
Hey, but Goblin.
Well, here's the problem. Well, I don't know about problem, but here's the issue. It means our man here, I'll nod to Tony Stark and say, will have to essentially keep his job on forever.
Or at least until he can pass the reins off to somebody else once they've been civilized, I hate to use the word.
Well, that's it. We can always arrange for it to look like he's passed, and for the reins to carry down to someone else who we've trained and put in a favourable place, and then that frees him of his duty to them, and it sort of settles him in his own mind that he hasn't just left them. I mean, I never ever would have thought it myself of.
Is the party now building a trained army of goblins at the pub here? Is this what I'm sensing is going on?
Well, yeah.
Of course it is. Why would you doubt that this would be how this all happens, Rich?
Basically, they'll end up worshipping the sea monster creature, and the kids will grow up and adore him, and they'll think it's natural way of life, and to honour the sea monster god by fishing in the waters. And I'm sure the sea monster would get a kick out of it.
You'd have loads of people to talk to.
Exactly.
So we're going to create a god. Just checking that we're creating a god today.
Yeah, called Dwaldi.
Great. We're going to create a god. That's a new one even for me. So now we just have to convince them that we can get loads of food on the crawler, and then we're all good, right?
I mean, if you dump 70 pounds of food off the back, that's going to be pretty convincing for a start.
Yeah,
we can do this for you. Here's a down payment.
But we'll need enough food to get back to
get the dogs home.
Aye.
Well, one ration will feed 2 dogs for a day. And
we've got plenty of rations still.
And it's basically 3 days.
So where are we going to set up 100 goblins? I mean, the locals are going to be upset.
No, we don't have to bring them. You can use this crawler to transfer the food from the lake to this town.
And we just need to get him out of here for a while.
The furthest they've been on the crawler is north, east, or Lancashire.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to dump a load of food off for them. We're going to tell them that we're going to take the boss to see our boss, and they're going to make a treaty where the goblins will get fed if the goblins promise never to raid again, and then we might find them better lands.
Okay, he says, if we can get the suit fixed.
Well, like I say, I think that's
then I can, if we can get the suit fixed, I can stay in charge long enough to get them set off in their new lives, and then maybe get my own life back after that, because they are brutish, but they're kind of just surviving out here at the moment. So I do feel sorry for them.
There's a lot of just surviving out here at the moment going on.
Right, he says, okay, let's do this then. So Yarbgnot calls a general meeting. He goes out onto the main battlements and brings you out and calls the whole clan to bear. And he says, Yarbgnot is great. Yarbgnot has made a deal. Lots and lots of food. And all the goblins are like, yes! Yarbgnot's like, Yarbgnot will have to go to get the rest of the food and take guards. And you see this cronish-looking goblin standing in front of him. In fact, you're just in front of that weird marionette suit that's hanging there. And he says, until I return, I put Snubsuck in charge. The fat goblin sort of rubs his belly and smiles. And Maneffect looks and says, and you'll be going to 10 towns? It's for a few days. And she goes, so what do you guys do then? You can go up and down on the lifts as you will.
Yeah, I'm gonna send a message to Lantesh and go, if she challenges him in any way, back him up as if you're like you say, Alice, if he was your mate.
Oh, don't worry.
And Maneffect says,
I've got her in my flipping there.
Maneffect says, empty words, empty promises. Yogg-Nock is no leader.
I'll step forward.
So you like pull the tarpaulin off the back of the sled. Is that correct, Dave?
Yes, and I say, do you want some? Here's your empty promises. Here's some food.
Right.
As a show of good faith.
So Yogg-Nock steps forward over the top and he goes, here's the food that Yogg-Nock promised. Witness! And all the goblins shout, witness! And then, Dave, I don't know, do you shovel the food out into a big pile?
Yeah.
And there's a great yelling and crying and much merriment and festivities.
No more hungry bellies. Food for all.
The goblins are food for all. Maneffect does not look happy, but she has temporarily backed down. And Yogg-Nock, now known as Spellex, looks at you guys as the goblins all congregate. They slowly come down on the lifts, on the great spring-loaded lifts designed by that weird gnome, and he thinks to you, Dave. Now, what do we do?
We get the funk out of Dodge.
Yeah, prepare the sled.
Right, so he selects a couple of 4 bodyguards. He slaps them by the heads and he goes, "You come with Yogg-Nock. You go to 10 towns, and you have a lot of space on the sled now that you don't have a load of meat."
Will we bring him the crawler? Bring back more food?
Not at first, no. The crawler can't keep up with the dogs anyway because it's much slower. But it's pulled by those 2 polar bears. He says he's had attempted to domesticate them, but he's had no success. So he's had to resort to the contraption you see before them. He's not happy about it. But right, well, what do you do, guys? Wow, I've had a lot of expedition tonight. Plus a lot of shouting, Yogg-Nock and Witness. Witness!
Right, well, get 10, dump the meat.
Right, Maneffect has a bunch of goblins around her, and they're eyeing you suspiciously at every turn. However, because of this sheer amount of food you've dropped on the floor, none of the other goblins seem to be taking a lot of notes.
Yeah, I was going to say, if she gives us any sort of earache, I'll have a word.
Oh, I'll be having more than a word.
But in the meantime, I think we should get while the getting's good.
I'm a firm believer in getting while the getting is good.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so with all haste, and while the goblins are distracted by an enormous amount of food, I knew that would come in handy for something, off you jolly well fuck is the term.
Exactly.
Like the wind, we shall run.
Leaping into the sleds and tearing ass back across. You can go straight across, Andy, or you can retrace your route.
I think under the circumstances, we'll go the most direct route.
It's 24 miles, so they can do 12 miles a day. So what I'm going to require from you is an animal handling roll, please.
I'm just going to think, Ben. At what point do we off these goblin guards?
We don't.
But goblins.
Yeah, they're hungry goblins, and we could make them well-fed, friendly goblins.
This is a good point.
I much prefer a dead goblin.
Yeah, but if we're going to end up fighting this frost Rime, what you call her,
and there's Duergar as well. Remember, so the more people that are united on a united front under these harsh conditions, the better. It's the lesser of 2 evils, Corin. Under other circumstances, I would agree with you.
16, so you actually get to there. There's no encounters, and the weather was on a -2, if I recall correctly. Yes, it was. Oh dear, it's a hailstorm. No, a blizzard is coming in. So a blizzard is going to last probably about 8 hours. You can I have a survival roll, Andy, to see if you can find decent shelter, because you're out in the middle of nowhere as a blizzard.
I'll give him a hand.
Let's have a survival advantage and a 14. So it's not great, but you find a gap between 2 hills that is reasonably sheltered as you pull in and dig in with your tent. Several hours later, nothing looms out of the snow as you resume, and the next day you head to Bryn Shander, which is 13 miles away. So can I have another animal handling roll, please?
You man.
Can I help him?
Not really. He's driving the sleds, Dave. If you had something you could help with, like maybe speak to animals or some way of influence the animals.
Lantesh can speak to the animals.
No, she can only speak to the small animals. So you help by saying, shouting, hurry up or I'll stab you and we'll be having sled dog for dinner tonight.
How I usually do it.
Right, animal handling, current, quest 16. So you're just outside of Bryn Shander. You can either push it and the sled dogs will get a level of exhaustion to reach that night, or you can camp overnight, but you just approach the road.
We might as well push it.
Yeah,
We'll always have a rest for a day or two.
Yeah, so the exhausted sled dogs, just once that, laden, swept. Your procession arrives at Bryn Shander. Goblins, mummies, tired sled dogs, and all. You have not been eaten alive by yetis, so that is good. You have used all of your meat. So what is the plan on arriving on Bryn Shander?
Right, I'm gonna delete the meat off my character sheet.
Okay.
I'm going to go and see the captain of the guard, so the goblin friends don't get murdered.
And maybe we could bring what you call it to the temple.
Yeah, good idea.
What they call it to the temple?
Yarblik.
Yeah, take Yarblik to the temple.
Yeah.
Introduce him to our teddy bear friend.
Right. The goblins stand around looking in awe, but these are the ones he selected, the ones that are specifically loyal to him. So he tells them to wait outside. I don't know if you want to
Give them some rats to eat.
set
Or buy
a
them
tent
some
up
food.
or
And some ale.
pop a goblin ale. Yeah, the goblins are all up for this, having proper food and proper drink for once. Do you want them to stay outside
nice
of
peoples.
Bryn Shander or?
Yeah, for now, just in case they get murdery.
Yarbnik says, you stay here. Yarbnik will go. Yarbnik is boss of Bryn Shander now. The goblins are like, yay! Through mouthfuls of hot roasted wolf, yeti, whatever happens to be, moose,
Right.
and warm beer, well, cold beer, and yes. Once he's in Bryn Shander and out of sight, he gratefully climbs out of the suit that he hasn't been able to get out of for 3 days.
Oh,
Thank Christ for that. You got some Febreze here. So, are you heading to the temple first, or are you heading to the sheriff's place? You said you were heading to the sheriff.
yeah, sheriff first, I think.
Are we going to be in Bryn Shander for a day or two?
At least a day.
Right. I need to hand these pelts in to get them tanned.
You do. I'm not sure how long it takes to tan a pelt. Something I meant to Google.
I'll turn right. Sorry.
That's all right. At least if I can get them handed in and get the process started.
Yes, because you had a baby yeti skin that you were going to turn into a hat, and then you said you were going to have a wolf hat. So which is it?
Well,
Or is it a wolf with a baby yeti on top? I'm confused.
according to me, I've got a large yeti pelt and a large cragcat pelt. I've got a small moose pelt. I've got 2 of them, and I've got something else.
Well, we've got the baby yeti head, the daddy's yeti's head. And I was thinking that the bar, we could have the big yeti's head above the bar, looking across the door entrance where the little baby head, so they look facing each other.
Now, to be fair, I quite fancy once I've had fur sewed inside me clothing, I quite fancy sort of an everyday wolfie hat and a yeti hat for Sundays.
All right. Okay. Right. So, turn up with the old man first. You're shown into the office.
Sorry, can I just jump in there a second?
Yeah.
If we could convince Yabnok not to go back to the goblins so he wouldn't need the suit anymore, if we took the head off the suit and give it the sheriff, that's 100 GP, please. You did say bring us the head of Yabnok. There it's.
It is true.
But he didn't mean he had to keep.
He says you are splitting hairs a bit.
Can't be hairs, must be rabbits. The ears aren't long enough.
It is kind of complicated situation.
He says
Well, could
nothing
explain
about this entire situation ever seems to go straight. Is it just me?
No, it's us. Usually just us.
I always cast charm person on the booker.
Stop charming people to get upset. You see, right, here's the issue, right? We have possibly fixed the issue with the goblin, but it's not the sort of fix that you're expecting, but it may last longer.
Right.
And it may have benefits for all in the future.
Well, we're going to civilize them because the person in charge of them isn't a goblin. It's a gnome disguised as a goblin.
Yeah, he furrows his brow and starts rubbing his temples, and he's like, why did I know that this was not going to be a simple case of head chopping? Why?
And
Look.
that's a very long story.
It's a very long story, but look, you'll thank us for this. It's advantageous for everyone. Right, okay, hear me out. Stop crying. Right, think of it this way. The local goblins, right, that raid are starving to death. They're going to eat each other, go mental, and all the hardest warriors are going to go out and raid like mad until they get murdered or they kill a load of people. That's usually the way it goes, right?
Right.
In return, instead, what we've done is we're going to feed them and civilize them.
Good God, he says. Next, we'll have goblin play characters.
It could happen. It could well happen.
Right, well, on your head be it, because he's literally just rubbing his temples and going... And just sure you're the only band of adventurers we've got handy. We don't have any spares or anything.
Nope, it's just us.
God, right, okay. Right, well, fair enough. All right, I'll pay you 50, I'll pay you half, because you need money to finance whatever the hell this is.
Oh yeah, we'll tell you about the pub later because you're probably not ready for that information.
I'm not ready at all. I'm really not.
Yeah, you should probably worry less.
Right, okay, so now we've got civilized goblins working in the pub. Am I understanding this correctly? Do I need to understand this? I don't think I need to actually...
You probably shouldn't try to understand.
I don't want to think about it too hard.
No,
I just want some whiskey. Can we not get some whiskey in this godforsaken mess?
Well, that would solve a lot of problems, I think. I think we can all agree that whiskey solves all of the hard problems.
Right, he says, fine. There you go. There's your 50 gold. If you've got anything else to report or come up with any work, then please, by all means.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know the sea monster that's eating everyone?
I'd heard about it, yes. Luckily, that's not really my jurisdiction.
No, that's good. It's all sorted.
Good, at least you killed that.
Oh, no, we didn't kill it. It's our friend now.
Oh, no. What do you mean? You used an animal, a charmed person?
Yeah,
like that. Druid, or?
It was a plastosaurus, right? Made intelligent by this evil druid who basically threatened it to stop the sale, like the fishermen fishing in Dualden. But the creature didn't want to kill anybody. That's just why there was just bite marks out of boats. He just intended to damage the boats. But obviously the fishermen got knocked over in icy waters and thus died. He seriously regrets that. But now that we killed the evil druid a while back, way before that, so he hasn't got that to worry about. So, it's just a very lonely sea creature, not a monster anymore. But it's quite intelligent and can talk. And he just wants to, and he can offload fish. He can help by providing fish.
Well, at least he doesn't work in this pub of yours. That's one thing.
Well, actually, he's going to be able to use the dock right next to the pub.
He's like, oh, God.
And supply fish for the
He's like, let me get this straight. I did offer you a job, didn't I? This is all on me.
Yes, but he's going to help by providing food for the people. So it's a win-win.
So we've got goblins and monsters.
And it's going to bring in tourism to all the regions surrounding Dualden, because people will come from far and wide just to try and see this creature, and it'll bring in so much trade.
That is true. If we all don't freeze to death first.
Yeah, we're working on that. Don't worry about it.
Excellent, he says. Well, thank you. I now need to go to the pub and...
I know a really good pub. It's not open yet, but when it opens, it's going to be everyone's local.
Yeah.
I am sure that it is.
The barman's
There's your 50 gold. I don't even need a receipt for it. Just take it, go, do whatever you want. I'll tell the guards, don't kill the goblins that's come with you.
Yeah.
They're like staring up this big town. It's the first time these goblins have seen like a town. They're outside the walls and going, ooh.
Also, if you can get a message, pass it round town. If they see sight of a sea creature offloading fish and that, not to harm it. Don't bring harm to the friendly sea creature.
Well, Bryn Shander's not on the lake. It's a couple of miles away from the lake.
I know, but if he can let people know, and because rumours go from town to town to town.
Yes.
If we can get them rumours started.
Apparently, those Yeti fellows have got an enormous chest of gold that they were flashing in a pub.
Well, that might or might not be true.
Allegedly. Luckily, I'm not your tax inspector. I am just a guy who wants the valley restored to its normal state of affairs, which is not monsters and goblins, but I'll take your word for it. You've seen 10 times right so far.
Exactly. We would never do anything bad.
Can we go and take what's his face to what do they call him now?
Copper Knocker.
To see Copper Knocker, whatever his name is.
His name is Spellix, I believe.
Spellix.
Yeah, Spellix Romwood. So you lead Spellix. It might be worth you actually buying a couple of spare sets of cold weather clothing and carrying them on the back of the dog sled, to be honest. You lead Spellix through the town. He looks his skin's a bit pale because he's been wearing a costume constantly. And you lead him to the House of the Morning Lord, where they have the cauldron set up in a back room. I'm not sure what precautions you told them to take, but there's a whole bunch of people there, and they're handing out steaming hot bowls of soup. And so, what do you say?
Go on then, speaker.
Well,
Speaker.
What? All right.
Mishan's like, Morning Lord's blessings on you. It's nice to see you back here alive, and I see you brought a new member of the flock.
Sort of, yeah. Is Copper about?
Yeah, he's upstairs. Copper. The teddy bear that is Copper Knocker comes hustling down the stairs. And it's a meeting of great minds. As you see Spellix's eyes light up and he goes, a suit shaped like a bear. Of course, it's pure genius. And Copper, Lantesh is familiar with gnomes. They love to talk about their invention. He says, yes, and it's double-lined. So as you watch these two gnomes get down to it in the middle of the church, passing ideas back and forward so quick. Spellix says, I've got a suit of my own. He's like, oh, great minds think alike. He says, but it needs urgent repairs and I had no spare parts. I've had people out looking all over Icewind Dale. He's like, oh, I'm sure we've got something. So they drag this big box or bag or whatever they happen to have the suit in up the stairs. And Spellix, at the last moment, sticks his head back around the door and says, oh, thanks. We'll just sort this out and I should be finished. It shouldn't take long with the two of us working on it.
Yeah, knock yourself out.
Mishan says, I don't know what you've just brought to my church, but I suspect it is not normal.
Oh, well, that's a gnome who's just spent the last 3 years pretending to be a goblin.
Well, the Morning Lord teaches us to be kind to all souls, but you can see she's rolling her eyes a bit.
I'm going to go and watch them build this thing because I'm always I'm fascinated by tinkering and whatnot. And
yeah, so
I'm going to go and watch them.
It takes probably a couple of hours as you're in Copper's workshop, and it's a typical gnomish workshop. There's benches everywhere, there's toolboxes and springs and wires and all manner of...
And I'll be passing spanners.
Yeah.
Such and such.
Patches at number 3 talk range, and as they get to work on the suit, and he says, yeah, that's your problem there, and the pair of them dig in. So a couple of hours later, they've got a fully working suit. And,
can I ask Spellix, what was the use of the big machine that was hanging?
Oh, that he says. The crawler went out and it found it out in the snow. They brought it back to me. It looks like some kind of golem or animated creature. I couldn't get it to work, and we couldn't take it apart. We couldn't scratch it. So basically, we just hung it up as a warning. The lads took a liking and were painting things on it. But yeah, they retrieved it northeast of Blackdinnickshire. It's some kind of inactive golem or
northeast.
It's got a strange language and markings on it that nobody I know can decipher.
Oh, I'll have a look at that closer when I get back. I've come up against a golem before, so intriguing.
It might be Warforged.
Yeah, he said they brought it back in the crawler. I had them out scavenging food, metal, wood, and parts, anything I could use to repair the suit, anything we could use. That's why I built this like that.
I'm fascinated by anything like that.
The goblin in charge of the crawler said that there was footprints leading to the northeast, and then it just apparently collapsed. It's never shown any sign of life, any sign of motion.
That might be for the best.
I've got no way of detecting magic or anything on it, so we couldn't damage it. We couldn't take it apart. We just hung it up as a warning to scare away people.
Maybe I can find out, detect magic and identify things when I get back. I have a way with the arcane.
Oh, that would be great. So as you do that, is anybody else want anything else to do in town?
Yeah, I'm going to nip off and say Howl.
Yeah, you best have a word with Hal.
And can you take anything you want out of the party sheet? Presumably you'll sell it, what's left. Because there's extra rations there and torches for those who are hard of seeing.
If I take those, put them on the sled.
Has Bob got a backpack and a bedroll and whatnot? Because poor Bob could do with one when he's adventuring with work.
He does not, but he's immune to the cold. And the goblins were understandably terrified of him, but once you talk to them a bit, they start to get a little bit more used to it.
Maybe he could be...
Are you finished with everything else, Andy, and I'll sell it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe could be an effective deterrent when we could take, if we go back in like enforcing our views.
Go back.
We've got to go back.
Right,
We can't just leave them as is.
I could. Corin's not keen on goblins.
So, Ben, are you doing anything in town before we cut to Howell's shop?
No.
Very good. So, Corin, you arrive back at Howell's shop. You enter the small place, and the bell is on the counter as usual. No sign of Howell.
I shall ring it.
He emerges from the back room. This time he's eating something possibly unmentionable with his sharp filed teeth. And he smiles and says, Corin, back already? Well, I mean, I say already, it's been nearly a 10-day, so I hope you got something juicy.
Well, not exactly. That same monster thing was a bit of a bust. Got any more ideas?
Bollocks. Well, he says, like I said, I'm always in the mood for troll hearts. If you can find a nice troll. And I do have your deposit, so I know you're not going to run away anywhere.
No, I'm going nowhere.
And how's the, and he does that, the Les Dawson thing when he's a woman and he's talking about woman's parts. How's the, and sort of mimes the thingy happening?
Still the same. Thankfully, no change.
I say you seem to be a nice, healthy colour again. What colour did you turn?
Green round the gills.
Yeah, a bit green, but my hair went purple.
Purple hair? It's unusual. Must be a bit particularly potent brew.
Yeah, I suspected that'd help.
Oh, well, I mean, I understand. I trust you.
I don't suppose there's any scholars in town, are there?
Scholars?
Not that I'm suggesting you're not, but you know.
Actually, there's that Danica. She came in. She's a scholar, and I believe there's a one over in Bremen. Those are the ones I've heard about. Danica is an actual scholar lady.
Thank you for the information. Now that is useful to know. So, when should I pop back for another dose?
Oh, I don't think another dose is going to work. It'll probably not. I mean, we can try. It may not be as effective. It should be good for at least 3, 4, 10 days, maybe double that.
Right. Yes, fair enough.
Oh, wow, look at the date as well. You arrived on the day of sacrifice to Oral. Awesome.
We couldn't have timed that better if we hadn't
You
tried.
could not have timed that better.
Well, that's us, you know. We're known for our timing.
So, yes, he says, like I said, any interest in monster bits, I'll be quite happy.
I'll say what I can find for you. Where does one find a nice troll these days?
As I'm led to understand, the problem is they normally find you out in the wilds and what have you. I'm not really for that. I like to stay near the pub and the curry house.
Oh, it's a shame. I've got a banging recipe for Yeti curry, but I'm fresh out of Yeti.
I've got a feeling that one thing we're not going to be short of is Yetis.
Oh, good. Wait till you see me new hat. Anyway, I'd better go. Catch you later.
Pleasure as always, Corin. Pleasure as always.
And I suppose I'd better make my way back to the pub.
And you make your way back to the pub. So, as we draw this evening's game to a close, as it's nearly 10:30, does anybody have any last questions or last things they want to do? And then I'll put the proper Asia back and then split the money.
Oh, no, I'm fine.
Anything else you need to do, dear?
Don't think so.
And then we'll deal with the human sacrifice tonight.
I'll just quest while in the pub. I'll take Danica to one side if she comes in for a drink, and I'll just fill her in on the gnome thing.
Fascinating. So that explains why it's got a gnome name instead of a goblin one. And who would have thought that within 2 generations you could actually change it? We should write a paper on this. We'll write a paper together about biology and development and the evolution of the goblin man.
That might be quite an interesting read, an interesting paper indeed.
So yes, thank you for bringing that to me. She scribbles down a lot of notes. It'd be lovely to meet this chap, but apparently You have a bunch of goblins outside.
Yes, well, unfortunate we had to bring some with her, but they seem to be quite amenable goblins. They're very supportive of the gnomish chap, even if he does appear to be in a goblin suit. But the idea is to try and sway them to a more civilized style of living. But
It'll certainly be a fascinating experiment.
It certainly will. That's all I want to do.
Okay. Right. Well, in that case, we'll draw tonight's one to a close. And where are you planning on heading next week? Just so I can make sure I've read up the appropriate bits.
I'm not sure.
There's a pirate ship not far from Brenham now.
Yeah, but it was in the
You also have to return Spellix to Carkaluk, as well as arrange the remainder of the food. £70 of meat is like 35 rations worth.
Just have to go and kill some more Yeti.
So yeah. So do you have any idea where you want to head next week, or no?
None whatsoever, but I'm sure we'll work something out.
It's just that obviously there's so much to read up that I do have a general overview, but I tend to specify the areas where you may be interested in.
There's always that Morse code thing.
Yeah, I think we'll go take a look at the SOS.
It is on our way. We'll go to 10 Town, sort that situation out with the goblins and try and set up some sort of amenable solution, and then we'll head over, like you say, to the SOS. So, sounds like a good plan.
Excellent.
Can we go via Dugan's Hole, though? Because we haven't been there yet. And it's on my list of places we haven't been. And there's not many of them left.
And you just want to do everything, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to do Dugan's Hole.
So that's it.